ciencia.
Me, myself, and I still pushing forward, I'm ahead like die. Standing on my flow with my head to the sky. Pass on a bitch, young rip, drop dimes. It's been a rough road, gotta look for the signs. I'm married to this music, so I cook for my bride. Flip out like a skateboarder, look how I grind. It took a long time, but I'm right on time. I'm progressing, that's progressive, I got bars like a correction. Still chasing petty cash, that's semantics. I want extra, I stop searching for my pops. I hold my nuts just like a checkup. I get physical, I'm copping just like Interpol. I play on words like a syllable. To me the world is fading. Hold this L just like a Laker. Like a birthday, my shit caking. It get messy like an apron. I pick out just like some bacon, and I sizzle like it too. Can't forget about you, boo. It feel like we on a loop. Same shit, different day. I don't know what's really true. I get high as I leave hoops. Who gon' give me what I'm owed? Man, I guess nobody knew. And I know that money talks, so what it said is probably true. It's the feeling that I get and the shit I'll probably do to get through or get by. I get fly, cause I'm Jeff Goldblum in my mind. Tell them hoes to fall in line. If you thought I fell off, bitch, I'm back like my spine. Hot as homemade pie. That's the pro rate, ma. I'm a pro, ain't I? Sniff it out like K9s. I'm a thief, it takes time to be great on Bayside. I get blue like Kelly Parker. When I'm gone, I left a mark. Tell them fish I'm still a shark. I will embark on this journey till it's finished. In the midst of all this friction, I got vision on my P's like no limit. Like a mouse, now we clicking. I go out for the spinach, that's business.
Cut the cord that kept us connected. Blacking out the mirror where your light once reflected. All of the love from up above. We used to fit like a glove. I still think about the you that only exists in my brain. Nothing ever stays the same. Guess it's just a shame. There's no one to blame.
Stop looking for somebody else to lay the blame. Without a wave of change, life stays the same. So when I pull up to your spot, I'm with a paradigm chick. Only used to have one and it's my paradigm ship. Calls for celebration, I cracked the hen. I took a hiatus, but I'm back again. A bunch of blue face hunters, I've been stacking them. Cause in the game of life, I just have to win. So when I'm in go mode, I be ballin' insane. Tried to walk away, they was calling my name. My brothers from another, we are all in the game. Don't give a fuck about clout nor all of the fame. I'm trying to inspire, empower, build and progress at a steady rate. Move heavyweight like a Bowflex. The haters make me greater, they mad, I got them so stressed. Shock my style for a while now, I can show text. Screenshots as proof and receipts. You a certified clown, been a goof in the streets. Angel made the beat, but this my demon flow. Get a lot of love from people I don't even know. And when the situation's ugly like Dudley, we do right. Fuck propaganda, let's conquer and unite. The wait's over, take over, it's commencing. My money fully grown, but yours like an infant. But that ain't no shade to you, it's just provision and protection, what you made to do. Being a man with a purpose, who you supposed to be. Living life as a loser, that's a joke to me. FN 509, stay close to me. If I pull it, I'ma spray like some potpourri. I don't wanna have to go there, so hopefully you don't try to have no beef or no smoke with me. Bro, everything I'm talking about, be backing it up. I'm back in the cuts, rapping the Dutch and macking a hut. She start to get aroused when I'm smacking her butt. Baby got stupid cheeks and she be clapping it up. I'ma enter through the front and hit the back of her guts. She a classy lady but be acting a slut. When we be kissing and cuddling, my bitch like to hug. Her box customized so it fit like a glove.
Turn your radios up. Turn your radios up. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, an impromptu stream back with another one. This one is gonna be a banger. Some controversial issues, so it will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting. Before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta hit ya.
If you know the song, sing along. You're right.
私も地元民と言っても実際少ないです。もう友達できたの？うん。ぶったまんまこっち見ない。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow-mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no ho, no ho. This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking his bricks forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji eating tandoori and chicken curry, that ism is really indie. My pimp ain't international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of bad.
And we are activated, and we gonna get right into this thing. Hopefully I will be joined by some illustrious guests. Maybe they've entered the building, they just haven't let themselves be known. But go ahead, drop some comments in the chat, leave a like. This one will be a banger. So let me go ahead and pull this up right here, because we gonna get right into it. Bada bam. So in case you were living under a rock, then you already know that Charlie Kirk, who I called Charlie Kirk, R.I.P., it's up for the debate what the P means. Charlie Kirk was allegedly assassinated by some trans-loving maniac. That is the narrative. Whose narrative? Your guess is as good as mine. So before I get into the video, which I will be reacting to, I asked because there was a lot of hoopla made around Charlie Kirk's assassination. They are now trying to put TPUSA in schools. There is Erica Kirk. Everyone is supposed to bend down and grovel towards Erica Kirk. We're supposed to act like she's just this angelic Christian soccer mom that's just supposed to be beloved because her husband got killed. Hey, people die every day, B. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but where's the lie? So this story, there is still a trial that has to take place. Now think about this. People were just saying Diddy had bottles of baby oil, right? Like there was a lot of tumultuous coverage, a lot of sensational coverage around Diddy and all of his baby oil bottles. No, he didn't just have one bottle of baby oil. He had hundreds or maybe possibly thousands. But Diddy having these freak offs that were obnoxious, right? But for the most part, they were consensual. And this is not me defending Diddy. Diddy is a POS, you know what I mean? But to pretend as if he's just this greatest monster that the world has ever seen, that's what the news media would want you to think. Diddy got more coverage for having bottles of baby oil than this dude who allegedly shot the beloved Charlie Kirk? Where is this psychoanalysis? Who raised Tyler Robinson, right? They have his daddy right there. There has been these like interviews with his dad, but where's the psychoanalysis, right? Who got more coverage? George Floyd, who didn't kill anyone, he got killed, and this dude who loved trans people and allegedly shot someone. Why aren't people bringing up white on white crime? Tyler Robinson, white. Charlie Kirk, white. Before Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck, unfortunately, he was railing against black people, talking about what about Chicago and gang violence. There was no gangs. There was no Vice Lord, no GD, no Crip, no Blood, no P Stone, no outlandish black gang member shot Charlie Kirk. As much as he railed on black crime, Charlie Kirk met his demise by white on white crime. But why isn't no one talking about this case? Guess who else got more coverage? OJ. And you didn't see what OJ allegedly did, but it was must-see TV, right? Why isn't this trial must-see TV? OJ's trial was in the 90s. We didn't have as much advanced technology as we do now. Why isn't there wall-to-wall coverage of this Tyler Robinson dude, right? Since Charlie Kirk was so beloved, right, that the White House has to make a day out of him, try to make him into a martyr and want to commemorate him so much. Okay, fine. You want to commemorate. You love Charlie Kirk so much, but you don't care about the trial of the person who allegedly shot him. Something is not quite adding up. So let's see. I asked, did Tyler Robinson ever publicly say I am not guilty? Because, and I'm not taking up for dude, I don't even know dude, but I thought our system was innocent until proven guilty, but I guess it's guilty until proven innocent. And if it is that, then let's just say that and let it be that. Stop pretending that you're innocent until we prove you're guilty. Well, then why are you locking him up? You haven't proven him to be guilty. You suspect that he's guilty, and you can say that all of this evidence leads to him, but there's flaws in the evidence, which we will get into, right? So there was no public guilty statement. None of the court filings or media coverage show Tyler Robinson making a public declaration of innocence. Now, this doesn't mean that he's not guilty, but this also doesn't mean that he's not innocent as well. There's no reported moment where he verbally says, I'm not guilty in court or to the press. He has not confessed in court. Despite online claims, he has not entered a confession in court proceedings, right? So he hasn't confessed to it. So you can make an argument and say, hey, he didn't say that he did do it, and he didn't say that he didn't do it. But apparently some are saying that he is contesting and saying that he didn't do it, right? So he allegedly sent some Discord messages saying it was me at the university shortly after the shooting. He also allegedly texted his roommate statements implying responsibility, but these are all allegations and not formal courtroom admissions. Allegations are not facts. They're just what they are. Claims. Now let's get into this video that I will be reacting to. This video I'm going to be reacting to is from the Saint and the Sinner, aka Marquette Devon Burton. So if you want to watch the video uninterrupted, you can go to his channel, The Saint, and this is fair use. I will be pausing it, rewinding it, fast forwarding it, just to give my commentary so I make it transformative and don't get a copyright strike. However, if you want to watch it uninterrupted, it's at the Saint channel by Marquette Devon Burton. Let's get into it.
I've said many times, we are in revolutionary times. The great comedy of human nature is that many of us don't realize what
Okay, and before I get into it, I was waiting for the people to let themselves be known. So we've been joined by the illustrious guest, the 504 boy, Wode, New Orleans. And we got sunlight from the Sunshine State shining brighter than a diamond. And we got Big Rigs, the big block 350 or the 454 boat rider in the building. Let's get back into it. Salute to y'all. And hit the like button on the way in. It won't cost you a fee. The likes are free.
Was going on when it was going on. We only understand in retrospect. For example, there were black folks who were alive during the time of a Dr. King, a Malcolm X. And when Dr. King and Malcolm X were doing their thing, these people were haters. They were contrarians. They were critical. They didn't respect it. They didn't know who.
I figured Brody was in the 350, yeah, the 454. Those is monsters, but yeah, man, the gas, you probably gonna get like 5 miles to the gallon, if that. But you know, they are fun to ride, you know, and swing, but 350 is more than enough, you know what I mean? You can do everything you need to do with a 350, you know what I mean? But you could board it over. They got like, you know, like 380s, 383s and stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, salute to you. A 350, man, it does to do.
Dr. King was in Black history, who Malcolm X was. Then many decades later, now they're celebrating the holiday, but they didn't celebrate the man while he was alive, putting in the work, nor did they join in to help the work.
So this is going to be about Charlie Kirk's assassination, but since this is a live stream, people are leaving comments and he's pausing to respond to the comments like I will be doing throughout this video. And I'm going to rewind that because like he said, all of these people, especially the W community, but also many in what I call the buck broken brain dead Boule class, and just some of the rank and file people, all the people that love to talk about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, when they were alive, they weren't supporting them. Right? Look at all of the stuff now, and I ain't talking about all of the social justice warrior stuff that they have, you know, basically misrepresented what it means to be woke and to fight for social justice. They've turned everything into some sort of pseudo political social justice issue, and then they conflate it with civil rights and our struggle to try to say, well, all struggles matter. Well, your struggle is different. I'm not trying to discount your struggle, but stop trying to conflate my struggle. So now what they're saying is someone getting lynched and called a nigger is no different than a trans person being told they can't play in sports, right? You were discriminated against. I was discriminated against. It's like, hold on, you lived your whole life as a white dude, and then one day your name was Billy Bob, and then the other day you want to change your name to Barbara Ann Sue. Now all of a sudden, because trans people are oppressed, but you were a blonde hair, blue-eyed white dude who just turned to be trans 5 years ago. But now all of a sudden, trans people, their level of oppression and struggle is the same as someone that was redlined, had to endure debt peonage and mass incarceration, someone that was being lynched, called a nigger and then lynched. And then they were castrated. They used to take pieces of people, right? Show me one story of trans people being lynched, right? And I'm not trying to beat up on anyone, right? Everyone deserves some level of human rights, right? And I don't need to create a hierarchy of oppression as much as people like to say that. But then ultimately, there is one, whether you like it or not, right? Someone getting RAPE'd is not the same as some woman being called a bitch, right? Yeah, she was verbally abused, and that is a level of abuse, but someone being physically assaulted and forcibly penetrated, that's a level of physical abuse that's not is not even comparable to verbal abuse. But people will try to say, well, abuse is abuse. No, there is some level of hierarchy, and people don't want to admit this stuff because it appears that you're being insensitive to another person's plight. But no, I'm not being insensitive. I'm just saying, hey, trans people shouldn't be discriminated against, but don't try to conflate some dude, especially some blonde hair white dude whose name was Travis, and now he wants to be Teresa. Fine, go ahead and be Teresa, but don't try to say, and I'm oppressed just like the blacks were. No, you weren't. You lived your whole life as a white dude, and now you're a white trans person. So now you're considered a minority, marginalized group, right? And when it comes to DEI, who do you think is gonna be able to get more benefits? A white person, a white dude whose name was Travis and now he's trans, so his name is Teresa, or some black dude named Jamal who went to college and meets all the qualifications, but who do you think is going to get the DEI benefits of that, right? A black dude named Jamal who went to college, or some undocumented immigrant? A black dude named Terrence, and some white woman, because they're minorities too and they're oppressed too. So in terms of the DEI ladder, just like all of these other buzzwords, we're always at the bottom, unfortunately. But back to the greater point, though, a lot of this stuff, like right now, if I meet my demise in probably 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years or whatever, it's going to be some people that never even rocked with me and trying to say like, yeah, bro was cooking, man. I really supported him, or I knew him. Yeah, you knew me, but you didn't support me. You know what I mean? Like the whole giving people their flowers and all this stuff. A lot of times people give people their flowers at their funeral, and that's unfortunate. Give me my respect. I don't say about I don't have to give me flowers. Give me my reverence and respect while I'm alive. I'm gonna do it with you too. I'm not gonna walk past you every day, don't say nothing, then you pass and I'm say, man, that was a good person. Why didn't you try to collaborate with that good person? Why didn't you build anything with that good person? In a world of evil and wickedness, why aren't you uniting and collaborating with the good people? Instead, you wait till they pass and say something, you know, say a sweet nothing about them, you know, at their funeral. Like, what purpose does that really serve? So I'm gonna run this back and then I'm gonna let a little bit more play. But we've also been joined by the illustrious FBA Strong in the building. And FBA, did you send me the email? But you said, great question. Where's the hype for Tyler's trial? There is no hype. There was all this hype for the dude getting smacked in the neck. Okay, fine. He was a beloved figure, right? Charlie. Okay, so where is the outrage? They cared more about, did he had bottles of baby oil? What's worse? Did he rubbing people down with bottles of baby oil and hitting people from the bike? Or this dude shooting someone in the neck? Right? What is worse, bottles of baby oil or shooting someone in the neck? Y'all let me know, right? And we've been joined by Lex. What it do? Chocolate Glow. You know, let's get back into it.
Many of us don't realize what was going on when it was going on. We only understand in retrospect. For example, there were black folks who were alive during the time of a Dr. King, a Malcolm X. And when Dr. King and Malcolm X were doing their thing, these people were haters. They were contrarians. They were critical. They didn't respect it. They didn't know who Dr. King was in Black history, who Malcolm X was. Then many decades later, now they're celebrating the holiday, but they didn't celebrate the man while he was alive, putting in the work, nor did they join in to help the work. I'm telling you, we are in very unique times in the world and in the United States in particular. Let's go ahead and take a look at what has occurred, or rather what has been brought to light recently. It is no surprise that your government is lying to you. This is not a new thing. This is not something that Donald Trump has ushered in. I'd say his level of corruption is new. All the governments have been corrupt, but his is just stealing left and right in the public sphere.
Yeah, Donnie Boy, his level of corruption is disgusting and grotesque. Now, like I said, both parties are the same. Two cheeks on the same booty, two fangs on the same viper. They play good cop, bad cop, making it appear as if they're against each other. But when the rubber meets the road, they all align with each other, because as much as some of these policies may be damaging to either of their constituencies, all of these old heads, the average age of Congress is over 60, is really closer to 70, right? They're all good. They've been in Congress 20, 30 plus years. You got people that are in their 80, 85 trying to run for a re-election. Maxine Waters. No, I think Maxine Waters is 87. Jim Clyburn, 85. You got multiple people in their 80s still running for Congress. I've said this before. There's no job that you love so much that you want to be doing it until your 80s. If you were physically able to play basketball and you were look at LeBron James, a freak of nature. He's 41 years old. If he was miraculously physically able to play until he was 80 years old, do you think he would do it? If someone is a painter, right? Do you think that an artist is really going to be wanting to paint when they're 80? You're a construction worker. Do you want to paint when you're 80? You're a lawyer. Do you want to be a lawyer when you're 80? You're a doctor. Do you want to be a doctor when you're 80? But somehow Congress, they love America so much that they can't leave Congress. No, they're fighting for the people. What have they really done? They give you some trinkets, some crumbs, and they're getting hundreds of millions to pass on to their family to usher in the new generation of the wealthy elite oligarch ruling class, right? Which is what Pelosi is trying to do with Gavin Newsom. And Gavin Newsom, do you think any of these kids are going to go fight in a war? Do you think there's going to be any Pelosi's fighting in a war? Do you think Barron Trump, he's a fighting age? Since they love Israel so much, why won't they send him over there, right? Barron Trump is probably almost a billionaire now because he worked hard, right? I'm sure there's some foreign exchange students that will blow Barron out the water. But will Barron get the position, privilege, and prestige over these people? But I thought it was about meritocracy, right? It's not. It's always been about nepotism. And, Trump super highlighted that. He had Kristi Noem, right? Where is the meritocracy in Kristi Noem? She was the bimbo Barbie, right? And now I may have to touch on what her husband got caught cross-dressing. Hey, if the dude is, a sissy, I guess sissy lives matter as well. So let him do his thing. But I'm just saying, Trump hired a bunch of DEI hires while going on a rampage to tear down DEI. Pete Kegsbreath, right? DEI hire. Kash Pajit Patel, DEI hire. The bozo bimbo Barbie Kristi Noem, DEI hire. And you can go on and on and on. Where is the so-called meritocracy? All I see is nepotism.
But let's go ahead and take a look as we go through. If you'd like to actually support honest journalism, you can use the information below. Do watch on Twitch if you can, though we have been approved to operate for a time on YouTube. The Google Corporation is a censorship corporation which wants to stop you from getting the truth. So you'd be wise to use the information in the description to actually support.
So like he said, Google is a censorship organization and Google owns YouTube, right? So YouTube is essentially an extension of Google, which is why if you're looking at something on Google, then you hop on YouTube, you see ads tailored towards that and vice versa. And I don't know how or why. I mean, I kind of do know why, because I'm willing to say some things in a bit more colorful language, call out things that others are unwilling to do. So people have already told me that my channel was shadow banned. I don't even have 1,000 subs, but I'm I do have a goal. I'm like 200-ish away. So if y'all can help me reach that, but only sub if you genuinely want to support and rock with the content. I don't like people that sub and then they watch a video that they disagree with, then they unsub and then they sub again because I said something. It's like, man, I'm gonna say a lot. Most of the stuff I say you'll agree with. There will be many things that you disagree with. And if you want to come up, we can debate it or we can discuss it, but it will be done respectfully, right? So I welcome contrarian views, trolls, etc. Just show some support and like the stream, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know what I mean? Because if you hating what I have to say, and I know a lot of people like to rage bait and hate watch, I'll give you a lot of hateful content. Not because my content is hateful. It's just, you know, if you hate me, you know, I'll give you something to hate on.
And you'd be even wiser to watch on Twitch as opposed to YouTube. And I thank you in advance for participating in the revolution. Here we go. And this is breaking news.
The defense team for the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk now says the bullet used could not be matched to the gun Tyler Robinson allegedly shot. That's according to...
And one thing we should know for sure is listen, the prosecutor we can trust, rest assured, that they tried their bestest to match that bullet to that rifle, right? Of course they did. Oh, by the way, we also keep hearing that folks are seeing doppelgangers of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, you know, just walk around free out in the world. Very weird to all of us, right? That there's no footage of what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. This is just yet another thing in a series of very obvious instances wherein you and I are being fooled. Oh, yes. And by the way, this live stream has obviously not been pushed out to my followers because this is breaking news. But for some reason, it's capping off the number of people who are watching. Very strange. 250,000 followers. And ever since I started mentioning, got flagged for the Israel comments, I've only lost subscribers in the last 8 months. I've not.
So my channel was shadow banned. I don't even got 1,000 subs. This bro is shadow banned because he got over 250 plus K subs. And this is the thing too. I don't know if I'll touch it on this stream, but everybody wants FBA to be crashing out for all of these issues. All lives matter, all immigrants matter, all plights matter, right? And then they use us as crash test dummies because we have the moral cachet, currency, and capital to say, you know what? We literally have been oppressed and are currently being oppressed, and we are the only group that truly will stand up and resist. Now, these other groups, they don't have a legitimate claim to resist because many of them have been complicit, right? It's kind of hard for someone to feel sympathetic about certain people's perceived immigration plight when many people were out there saying, I will vote for Donald Trump. And many of their leaders and representatives were talking about, you know, how great it would be, you know, for the country. But let me play a little bit more of the video and then I'm gonna get back into it, because he said he's lost a lot of his wealth by standing up for Gaza, right? What's going on in Gaza is horrific. It's a G-side going on. I don't condone that. I condemn it, right? I believe the Palestinians have a right to exist. I believe there should be a Marshall Plan. They should be paid reparations by Israel, right? The UN wants to, you know, help in some other states, but yes, the US shouldn't be footing the bill for that. I believe all of these things. With that being said, I still have to focus on my community first, not because I'm an isolationist and I hate every other community. It's just this is the community that everyone is always complaining about. If your house is filthy and it's a pigsty, you need to clean your house. If you're in the middle of cleaning your house and you say, oh, I just thought about it, the neighbor needs help cleaning their house, and then you go help the neighbor, And then you go help another neighbor. Oh, I forgot my cousin in another state or some random stranger in another state. They need help cleaning their house. So then you use your resources to go to another state and help someone clean their house. So now you've helped the neighbors up the street, down the block, in another city, another state, clean their house. And guess what? You're still coming back home to a dirty house. And when people say, well, why is your house dirty? And you say, oh, well, I was helping all these people. Do you think people are going to sympathize with you, or are they going to say, stop having a victim mindset? Well, hey, no one told you, right? So if our house is so disgusting, then we don't have the emotional bandwidth. We don't have enough of the resources and wherewithal to be stretched this thin. Right? All of the tropes. You guys are low IQ, savage, low impulse control, growing up in fatherless homes. Okay, cool. In order to rectify all of these perceived and exaggerated tropes, we have to do something about it. If our IQ is low, how was caping for open borders going to help us, right? Our schools are failing. So the way that your school will be uplifted is by bringing in a bunch of non-English speaking students, right? You need some business loans, but instead of giving you business loans, they bring in a bunch of non-citizens and give them the loans because they're just seeking a better life. How does that help you? Oh, I forgot. You get to buy elote and horchata and some tacos, but you can make your own tacos. Actually, I can make my own taco stand if you just give me those loans that you're giving those people. But no, you're a citizen, so you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They talk about, what about Chicago, right? Oakland, Baltimore. They say Chicago is Chirac. They're calling it akin to Iraq as if it's a war zone. So if Chicago is a war zone, how is me bringing in someone from Tijuana gonna help the war zone in Chicago? How is bringing in Tren de Aragua gonna help the war zone in Chicago, right? Oh, Chicago has a gang violence, so in order to mitigate the gang violence, we'll bring in some gang members from Venezuela. Okay. And then if they have babies, well, who cares if they're a gang member, right? Birthright citizen. Okay, let's get back into it.
Gained any subscribers in 8 months.
Court documents obtained by CBS News. CBS News national correspondent Carter Evans has more details.
It's been nearly 7 months since conservative political activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed.
Wow. But the interesting thing is with these major assassinations.
So one thing over here, like, we like to provide a higher level of thought, intellect, and scholarship. When you're coming in and just leaving random comments like this, and usually I put subscribers mode only, but I mean, anyone could just comment right now. But what exactly are you talking about? Like, because you're just leaving random comments saying delusional. This is really a delusional comment because it has no context with it. So this is, this isn't a scholarly comment, Christine Burns. So hopefully you could try one more again. If you didn't see my messages on your Twitter and Facebook, I'll send them again. I don't know. I think I've seen them on Twitter, or I think I might have seen it on Twitter. So I'll check that out. And John Brown says, if Israel pays reparation to the Palestinian, that means United States will be paying it because that's what Israel gets their money from, the United States. Yeah. So this is the thing. All of those billions and billions that we sent over the year, yeah, y'all could fork over some of that. Or y'all can just start treating Palestinians the same way that you treat the Israeli people, right? So, yes, but that also shouldn't be our issue, right? When the J people, they were oppressed by the Germans and they wanted reparations. They got the UN and the globe came and said, oh my God, these are the chosen people. So we have to find a way to globally everyone pitch in, whether it be morally, financially, politically, whatever. Globally, everyone pitched in to help the J people, right? So globally, these people could pitch in to help the Palestinians, right? They've already saw what Israel has been doing. Many people, not every person living in Israel, but I'm saying Bibi Netanyahu is run by Bibi Netanyahu. Israel has been running by a barbaric maniac. So, and if the people are not going to rise up and get them out of there, then they have to just be subject to constant fighting and bickering. Are the Israeli people, the rank and file, are they really trying to have peace with the Palestinians? I don't know. That remains to be seen. From the people I talked to, they said no. They see them as Amalek. They see all Palestinian people as terrorists. So who knows how long this conflict, and notice they keep calling this a conflict. It's a flat out WAR, and I'm spelling it because for some reason my channel was shadow banned, right? So it's clear what this is, right? In every other context, we know what a war is. They'll call things a gender war, a race war. Man, there's going to be another civil war. Then when there's actual war going on, notice how they keep calling it a conflict. Huh? Yeah, I think it's a lot more than a conflict, but okay. If Clyburn were food, he'd be oatmeal with the raisins. Pelosi trying to move her daughter into that seat. So Pelosi is trying to move her daughter into the seat, and Jim Clyburn, who's 85, is trying to run another term, and then he's trying to set it up so that once he retires, that his daughter gets the seat. But he didn't do anything for black people. In fact, he worked with the Republicans to help gerrymander his district so that he was the only game in town. And hey, it's versus me, vote for this old black Carolinian, or you're gonna have to vote for the racist Republicans. And the Republicans, it's like a good cop, bad cop thing. They go out of their way to be anti-black, and then they say, why won't y'all vote for us? See, y'all just on the Democratic plantation. So they call us niggers and then say, why won't we vote for you, right? It's like, realistically, people would vote for them, but they try to show they wear their anti-black vitriol on a sleeve. Republicans, they treat, as much as they try to talk crap occasionally about the border, they'll talk crap about the border, but not so much about immigrants. They have no issue talking about black people. Most of those Republicans hire immigrants. This is why I tell you both parties support open borders. Trump at Mar-a-Lago has a bunch of undocumented illegal aliens is what he was called, but right, he doesn't matter. Arnold Schwarzenegger, wasn't he a Republican? Wasn't he cheating with an immigrant? You know what I mean? So all of these people, they just use the rhetoric as red meat for the MAGA base, but both parties support open borders. The great replacement is not a theory, it's a strategy, but I'll touch on that later.
Strangely, it's one person, just one lone unknown gunman in both cases, right? In the case of the Donald Trump assassination attempt. Oh yeah, whatever happened to that court case? Aren't we all curious? And in this one as well, there's just one lone gunman. Very strange. Very, very strange. And these people apparently have the artillery necessary. They have the planning and the skill to get it done, but they're just random people apparently with no help.
During a Utah Valley University campus event on September 10th.
So I'll rewind it and play it, and look like we've been joined by an illustrious guest, the hardest working mod on YouTube, Vibrant Lowell, in the building. And I read off his comment, but I don't think I gave him an appropriate shout out. We got none other than Roger Meadows, fresh off the Amistad, on his way to Nassau County. So salute to the East Coast fam. Where Brooklyn at? And Terrence comes in. Salute to Terrence Hazard. Talks about the Balfour Declaration. So if you don't know, this was issued on November 2nd, 1917. And this was a statement by the British government expressing the support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people. That's what they said. The Jewish people deserve to have a national home. And then they said, you know what? It will be in Palestine, right? There were talks about it being in Uganda, and then they said, nah, it'll be in Palestine. So that's the Balfour declaration. But yeah, so actually, I'll read the declaration too. It stated, His Majesty's government view with the favor of the establishment in Palestine of a national home. So even in the declaration, they're calling Palestine Palestine because there no Israel existed at this time. So they're saying, yeah, we know that's Palestine, but it's going to become Israel. So when they say, hey, well, we've always been here, it's like, is that the case? Many of you come from Europe, right? But i.e. Bibi Netanyahu, his family is Polish, right? He's not indigenous. But because of the Balfour Declaration and people like Joe Biden, rabid Christian Zios saying, if there wasn't an Israel, we would create one. So that's what it was. They created Israel, right? Because nation states are social constructs. So with the backing of, the king, then they say, hey, the British crown, hey, Palestine is no longer Palestine. And now with many of these maps going forward and many of these books, isn't a lot of them are not even going to say Palestine. There's no Palestinians in charge of creating this stuff. It's just going to be Israel. And the more the US keeps funding many genocidal goons, the Greater Israel Project is just going to expand into Jordan, Syria. Already they've taken southern Lebanon. How are you just going to go to a place and take it, right? So fine, if Israel, they say Israel has the right to exist, so they're going to presume that they have the right to take parts of Lebanon. So doesn't Hamas have the right to take parts of Israel because they're actually indigenous? Yeah, you're trying to call them Hamas and terrorist group. It's just, are they indigenous to the land or not, right? You can call them terrorists. You can call them gypsies, clowns, athletes. You can call them whatever. But what I'm asking you is, are they indigenous to that region? And if the answer is yes, then who was the land really promised to, right? Because of some book that you believe in. But if people don't believe in the book, oh, well, shut up, right? If somebody is saying this land was promised to me because I read it in a book, and I say, hey, well, I read the book and I didn't interpret it that way, and actually I read the book and I don't believe the book, then you have the right to slaughter that person because they don't believe in the book. That's pretty much what people are saying, right? This land was promised to me. Here, God himself is like, did you talk to God? No, the people in the book talked. Like, where in the book did it say I talked to God? What scripture said I heard this out of God's mouth and this is what he said? Is it just a bunch of fables, parables, and stories from men? Which one of those men actually met God, knows God? Oh, well, we all know God, right? It's all of this biblical blather is quite disgusting and confusing, right? Because it's just used to subjugate, right? And oppress people in the name of righteousness and angelic benevolence, right? What is biblical about slaughtering hundreds of schoolgirls and then saying, oops, then blaming it on the opposition, saying, no, it was you. And then when we know that it was you, you still don't take responsibility. Oh, were there the leaders of state-sponsored terrorism? It's like you're calling them the leaders of state-sponsored terrorism, but they didn't bomb any schoolgirls. They're killing their own citizens. Okay, what's the proof of that? This outlet reported it. And then you look at the outlet, who owns it? It's owned by the people's enemies. So imagine my enemy puts out a story about me and you say, oh, this is true because this outlet reported. Yeah, but that dude hates me. There may be some truth to some things, but how do you know it's true? You're not even getting my side. You're just getting the side of the enemy. So am I trying to say that the Iranian regime are just these sweet little innocent angels? No, but neither is the US, right? We're going around destabilizing countries, committing military coups, kidnapping leaders, slaughtering people to the tunes of millions and oftentimes hundreds of thousands, right? What hundreds of thousands of people have the Iranians killed? Don't worry, I'll wait. But let me just finish with the declaration. His Majesty's government, with the favor of the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object, meaning might make right. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of non-existent Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and the political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. So they wrote the declaration to say, yeah, look, we gon' just set up shop in a place, but when y'all set up shop, y'all can't discriminate, you know, against non-existent Jewish communities. So it's just like things that they had written in law, right? Separate but equal, but it was separate and unequal, right? On paper, it said equal, but in practice, it was unequal, right? On paper, it said they shouldn't be prejudiced against the civil and religious rights of non-existent Jewish communities in Palestine. But we already know that Palestinians are treated like second-class citizens in Jewish society in Israel. So y'all look up the Balfour Declaration. So let's get back into the video.
Happened to that court case. Aren't we all curious? And breaking news, but for some reason, it's capping off the number of people who are watching. Very strange. 250,000 followers. And ever since I started mentioning, got flagged for the Israel comments, I've only lost subscribers in the last 8 months. I've not gained any subscribers in 8 months.
Court documents obtained by CBS News. CBS News national correspondent Carter Evans has more details.
It's been nearly 7 months since conservative political activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed.
Wow. But the interesting thing is with these major assassinations, strangely, it's one person, just one lone, unknown gunman in both cases, right? In the case of the Donald Trump assassination attempt. Oh, yeah, whatever happened to that court case, aren't we all curious? And in this one as well, there's just one lone gunman. Very strange. Very, very strange. And these people apparently have the artillery necessary. They have the planning.
So think about it, right? When they had Young Thug on trial, they was trying to give Young Thug a RICO charge because they said, hey, you part of this slime gang. Y'all are terrorizing the streets, even though they couldn't really say any particular homicide directly pointed to Young Thug. They said, we don't care. You're associated with this gang. Your lyrics are inflammatory and they could be used against you. And they actually banned him from Atlanta for 10 years, along with some other stuff for him to even be let out, right? This was for some alleged gang violence in Atlanta, right? And we know that they don't care about black people. They definitely don't care about black on black crime, right? If black people kill each other, they kind of like that because they could say, see, you niggers are just doing it to yourselves, right? But if they were really pro-life, they would try to say, hey, all crime matters. We live in a colorblind society, so there's no such thing as black on black crime. Right? We're all Americans. We're all human beings. We're all God's children, right? So why are you talking about black on black crime? Isn't that God's children committing crime on another one of God's children? Why doesn't it look like that? Why do you have to make it about race? As soon as there's a crime, what's the first thing that people want to know? They want to know what race they are. But I thought you said stop making it about race. And then as soon as they know what race they are, then they proceed to talk about stereotypical tropes. Didn't do nothing. 1350, usual suspects, a bunch of racial underlying tropes and epithets. But When it comes to the assassination, what about black on black crime? That's what Charlie Kirk was saying, right as a white alleged trans person shot him in the neck. Donald Trump, white dude, had how many assassination attempts against his life? Not one, not two. There was no thug from Chicago that tried to assassinate Trump. There was no ruffian from Oakland that tried to assassinate Trump. There were two white males that tried to assassinate Trump. No one brought up white on white crime and violence. No one is saying who raised these people. But isn't it a good question? Like, seriously, who raised these people? No one talked about chimping out. No one talked about low impulse control, right? No one is bringing up his IQ or GPA. Curious, right? What is a bigger story? Diddy had bottles of baby oil, or Trump, which they call the president, the leader of the free world, right? The leader of the free world had multiple assassination attempts, and it's like, nothing to see here, right? We talked about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Grammys more than an assassination attempt on a president, a former president who is now the sitting president, right? Talked more about Diddy's bottles of baby oil than Charlie Kirk being shot in the neck, right? Is this incompetence or what? Something more sinister?
And the skill to get it done, but they're just random people apparently with no help.
In a Utah Valley University campus.
Another thing too, like he said, they're all just by themselves. And the reason why I brought up Young Thug, because Young Thug, they want to sweep him into a RICO, saying, no, you guys were a violent gang terrorizing the city, body after body dropping, right? These dudes who allegedly committed these assassination attempts look like losers and incels, but suddenly they had all of the sophistication, the weaponry, the training, all of the acumen to be able to attempt to assassinate a president, but be able to get away with it. Seems a little bit far-fetched to me, right?
Court case, aren't we all curious? And in this one as well, there's just one lone gunman. Very strange. Very, very strange. And these people apparently have the artillery necessary. They have the planning and the skill to get it done, but they're just random people apparently with no help.
In a Utah Valley University campus event on September 10th last year. Now, attorneys for Tyler Robinson, the man charged in Kirk's killing, are asking to delay his preliminary.
Is it weird that there are no documentaries on this? I think this guy is fascinating. Apparently, Charlie Kirk was supposedly so famous that we should consider putting him on a coin. And the entirety of the white supremacist Trump regime has done everything to project his image. But the media has been so quiet about this court case, and even quieter about who the shooter is. You'd think that there'd be documentaries about the shooter. I mean, aren't you fascinated? I'm fascinated.
Hearing to review a mountain of material they say could help his defense. In a new court filing.
So, man, like I said, over here, we like to do a higher level of thought and scholarly comments, right? This is an unsubstantiated comment, so it's not really scholarly, right? New poll, 82% of blacks support Donald Trump. First of all, capitalize the B when you saying the blacks, and when you saying new poll, which poll, right? They have Rasmussen poll. They got a lot of various polls. Pew Research does polls. Which polling outlet? Because when you say new poll, I'm assuming that you've either observed the poll. Is this something that someone told you, or is this propaganda, right? Because I haven't heard this. Now, I can do my own research on it. I believe this is a crock of sugar, honey, iced tea. But if you're gonna leave a comment like this, it would behoove the audience for you to say which specific poll, how old was the poll, or because this just seems like a lot of propaganda. And FBA said he's just got around to sending the email. Yes, okay, just take your time whenever you get available. January 6, 2025, that was violent and beyond thuggish. They got pardoned. They roamed the public office and threatened politicians. Not only that, they were beating people. They were physically assaulting people, terrorizing. It's alleged that they took a poo. They were saying that they want to hang Mike Pence. That's literally the definition of chimping out, low impulse control. That's the definition of having a victim mindset. They thought that my daddy Trump lost the election, so I'm going to storm the Capitol. Like, why didn't they just comply? They say this is a nation of law and order, and then they did some things that were illegally, right? Nick Fagwentes was out there too, right? Why didn't he get charged with anything? This is why some people think he's more like Nick Fedwentes, right? He's out there inciting people on. And on top of that, they'll say we're a nation of laws. These people break the law. And then Trump will come in and put a victim mentality narrative on them to pardon them, right? So much for being a nation of laws. So much for you do the crime, you do the time. How pathetic and hypocritical could you be?
The defense claims in an ATF report summary, hearing to review a mountain of material they say could help his defense. In a new court filing, the defense claims in an ATF report summary that the agency, quote, was unable to identify the bullet recovered at autopsy to the rifle.
Now, I tell you, if anyone should be qualified to do it, it would be the ATF, right? What does the ATF stands for? What does that stand for? Something, tobacco, and firearms, right? Firearms. So this is what they specialize in? Huh.
Allegedly tied to Mr. Robinson.
Doesn't mean that those bullets aren't the same or that they aren't connected. It just means there isn't enough evidence there to come to a conclusion.
CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
Yeah, I agree. Scientifically, we're not saying that it can't be the bullet. We're just saying that we don't have science indicating that it is the bullet. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's pretty important. And it seems as though they gave that little clip of that fuzzy hair woman to make an attempt to call into question the importance of this revelation. I'd say it's absolutely important.
And says this is not unusual.
It is sometimes difficult to match bullets that were recovered at autopsy with bullets that are associated with a defendant's gun. And
yes, it is sometimes difficult, but we are in the age of technology. We have extraordinary technology, and with such a high profile.
Ashley Babbitt didn't comply, and unfortunately, she got filled with hot lead. And all of the people who say back to blue no matter who, and by blue, they mean law enforcement, suddenly they didn't want to back the Capitol Police. He feared for his life. There were these raging, rambunctious ruffians trying to break into the Capitol. He warned them to back off. They didn't comply. They stormed the Capitol. And unfortunately, one of them got filled with some hot lead. And now she's dead. And guess what? Trump got into office and said she's a victim, even though she broke the law, even though she was being a violent, thuggish character at that time, because she allegedly served the country. She's a victim who was engaging in a criminal act. And Trump gave her family millions and millions in reparations. But hold on, they say, you were never a slave, right? Hold on. Ashley Babbitt's mom, she was never shot. Ashley Babbitt's mom didn't get a bullet or however many bullets put in her. Oh, yeah, but it happened to her daughter. But then when somebody say, hey, you were never lynched, yeah, but my uncle was, my grandpa was, right? And it all falls flat because you didn't even pay the people who were lynched. So it's like, don't try to use that example because the people who it actually happened to, you didn't want to pay them. So by you not paying them, the debt is still owed and it goes to their descendants. Everyone already understands this. Same thing with the Japanese who were interned. Not every one of them were alive. So the people who weren't alive, their money went to their descendants who weren't interned, but they were collecting on behalf of their ancestors who were interned. Many of the Jewish people, just in 2024, Kathy Hochul gave Jewish people reparations for something that happened in Germany. Clearly, these people weren't gassed in a chamber by Adolf, but guess what? They said their descendants were. So since the descendants were owed repair and they didn't live to see this day, you will collect on behalf of them. This is not a new concept. The U.S. is not Armenia, but there was an Armenian genocide. And guess who paid Armenians reparations? The U.S. So we're always paying foreign entities. Even now, you got Pramila Jayapal, who was an immigrant. She recently got here, and now she wants to give reparations to immigrants. So now they're trying to muddy the water, and all the people who said, y'all need to stop begging for reparations. Now everybody, every other day, you hear someone talking about reparations, and it's usually from a group that's undeserving, right? I'm not saying that they're not deserving of human rights or that they need to be mistreated, but to talk about reparations when you weren't targeted, there's no systemic targeting of immigrants. I know people are trying to frame ICE as this rogue agency, but no, ICE is not terrorizing communities that the way people are trying to make it seem. And a lot of people that say that, it's like, bro, where are you at? I'm in California. This is the belly of the beast for immigration, bro. ICE is not just out terrorizing people. It's not. And I believe even California, I mean, just all over the immigration numbers the deportation numbers are low compared to some of Trump's predecessors. So ICE is doing some incompetent, irresponsible political theatrics, but they're not doing mass deportations at all. How could they be doing mass deportations and at the same time helping out TSA and at the same time marching around like the Gestapo on the streets? It's like, just come on, man. It's not. And even if they were doing that, guess who voted for that? Latinos. This is what they wanted.
Situation, you'd think they'd be able to match that pretty darn well. And you'd also think that the court
bullets that were recovered at autopsy with bullets that are associated with a defendant's gun. And
yes, it is sometimes difficult, but we are in the age of technology. We have extraordinary technology, and with such a high profile situation, you'd think they'd be able to match that pretty darn well. And you'd also think that the court case of this fellow would get extraordinary amounts of coverage, maybe similar to what was going on with the obsession with P. Diddy, the little random black fellow who likes to get his freak on with the baby oil. I mean, that was a media circus, and that didn't involve any assassination. This has been so quiet, and we must concede that it can't be by choice. I think it's by design.
That could be based on lack of evidence and lack of markings on those bullets.
Robinson has been charged with aggravated murder in Kirk's death. He has not yet entered a plea. Prosecutors and
damn, how long does the court system take? I thought you were entitled to a fair and speedy trial. Is that the language we use? Fair and speedy trial? You're not supposed to be subject to cruel and unusual punishment. These kind of phraseologies I hear often in the West, in America. And the truth is the nature of the American prison system is cruel and unusual punishment. Yes? How about that? Solitary confinement itself is torture. But the United States government won't admit to that. The government does not follow its own rules. It does not police its own, it doesn't police itself. Every time the police investigate the police, they find that there was no wrongdoing committed.
Tend to seek the death penalty.
Robinson hid the gun and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages.
Prosecutors allege Robinson admitted to killing Kirk in those text exchanges.
Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry.
Prosecutors also said they have DNA evidence that connects Robinson to the killing. Levinson says,
does anyone find it strange that we never get to hear from Mr. Robinson? We don't know anything of motive or his morality. This is not an Islamic.
Yeah, we don't know any motive, but they're trying to speculate that, hey, Charlie Kirk, he talked about trans people, and Tyler Robinson allegedly had a trans partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, they friend, everyone's friend, right? Tyler Robinson was apparently in love with trans, and in defending the honor of this anonymous trans partner, he shot Charlie Kirk. Okay, well, let's just confirm that if that's the truth. I mean, that sounds like that would be worthy of a movie, a Hollywood spectacle, not really to just, you know, add frivolity to, you know, this person's passing, but isn't that what they did with everything? Surviving Diddy, surviving R. Kelly, surviving Cosby, suddenly there's no documentary of Trump surviving assassination, right? Or what's going on with this Tyler fellow? It's just awfully strange.
Who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry.
prosecutors also said they have DNA evidence that connects Robinson to the killing. Levinson says,
does anyone find it strange that we never get to hear from Mr. Robinson? We don't know anything of motive or his morality. This is not an Islamic extremist. This is not a black person offended by the words of Charlie Kirk, you know, the consistent hatred and degradation. This is not someone from Israel who's as far as we know, this is not someone from Israel who's angry about Mr. Kirk waking up to the fact that they're exploiting the United States citizen and government. So this appears to be an everyday white guy, someone who demographically you would think would be a supporter of Mr. Kirk. So why is it that we can't hear from the gentleman himself? Why is the news media not in the prison interviewing him? And why is he even in prison, right? It's innocent until proven guilty. So if you're not proven guilty, shouldn't he be out on bail? Huh?
inability to conclusively match the bullet won't necessarily damage the prosecution's case.
The prosecution has other evidence to rely on. This does not completely undermine their case.
I'm Carter Evans.
Curious. Let's see if there's anything else on that. And it's very curious that this is just very important case, one of the major assassinations of our time, and every news station apparently has the same propaganda to feed us. Marquette, why do you say that?
Yeah, because they're making this dude to seem like this just beloved figure. Some people were even calling Charlie Kirk the white MLK, which is disrespectful and disgusting because Charlie Kirk hated MLK, saying that he wasn't a good guy. So if MLK wasn't a good guy, then then it's clear as day that Charlie Kirk was a POS, right? So which one is it, right? How are we going to try to compare him to somebody that wasn't a bad guy, that wasn't a good guy, according to Charlie? So if Charlie Kirk is the white MLK, then he's not a good guy either, right? But yeah, the fact that this case is getting so much, and I've seen a bunch of buck broken, brain dead bozos in the black community too. Diddy had bottles of baby oil. Like, it's like, damn, every time I turned around, it was like memes about Diddy's baby oil, right? Diddy, who I'm not defending because he's a POS. I don't really care for Diddy, but Diddy got railroaded. Diddy should be out right now. all he did is just like Jack Johnson. When Jack Johnson, his crime was he was smashing a bunch of white chicks. So they found we'll find a way to charge him with the Mann Act and all this stuff. How many people go around paying for cooch? You know what I mean? A bunch of Democrats, they try to like push to be pro-ho in many places, especially in New York. Where Brooklyn at? Where my NY fam, right? They're pushing to, kind of soft shoe around prostitution. So if somebody got that ism, i.e. myself, right? And you spit a little ism in a chick ear and she wants to pay you, you know what I mean, for your services as a guidance counselor, a manager, you know what I mean, a lover, provider, etc., then suddenly you get demonized as being a pathetic PIMP acronym. Put it in my pocket, right? But now the government says, no, we gonna lock up all those pimps because they're panderers, or they're not just pimps, they're human traffickers, right? And then guess who steps in to be the PIMP? Daddy government, right? But I thought y'all was against pimps. No, they just wanted pimps out the way so they can come and pimp you. We're all being pimped by the government, right? They're showing you're being pimped, right? This is supposed to be a democracy. People are against the war. People are against the slaughter and genocide. But guess what's still happening? Slaughter, genocide. You're against sending billions and billions to Ukraine and Israel. And guess what? The money is still going out. The military industrial complex is still going out, because people are unfortunately too caught up in their racial silos. And a lot of it has to keep coming back to anti-blackness, right? Because we are going to be the only ones that are resisting up against this techno-feudalism that's almost here, and this dub supremacy that relies on black subjugation. Now, a lot of these other groups, they are okay with kissing white mommy and daddy's booty as long as they are a notch above the niggas on the racial hierarchy. So they were okay. I will vote for Donald Trump because they thought when he said he was going to be deport people, they thought he was going to be deporting niggas. But when they opened the border, he let in a bunch of non-English speaking Spanish people. So by them letting in up to 80% of the 20 plus million they let in was Hispanic. So if they're going to do mass deportations, which they're not doing, the majority of them are going to be Hispanic. Although the African and Caribbean immigrants are being deported at a much higher rate. But no Republicans or Democrats are talking about but per capita, because both parties support open borders for different reasons. Let's get back into it.
Well, what are the chances that this video is 2 minutes, 2 seconds, and this video is 2 minutes, 6 seconds, and these are from the mainstream media? Let's see if we can find more mainstream media coverage. It's quite curious that the mainstream media seems like they've not spoken up on this yet. Here's another mainstream source.
Okay, so you pretty much get the gist of the video, and he was talking about how many of those videos they only have they're 2 minutes or something. And you notice how some of these panels, right, they'll have like a 3-hour long debate about trans bathrooms, some stuff that you really don't care about. But when it comes to something that's more serious and more pressing, the videos are like 2 minutes. And then they'll say, okay, we want to end the homeless problem. How will you solve it? You got 30 seconds to answer. How am I going to answer to solve a homeless problem in 30 seconds? That's all the time we have today. And then you're supposed to respect them as journalists. Who was stopping them, right? When you look at all of these panels, whether it's Fox News, CNN, why are some of the most important topics packaged into a 5-minute video. And this is why people like to listen to people like myself and others, even though I don't have a massive following right now. But at least I'm willing to do long form content. I'm willing to engage with the ideas of contrarians, trolls. I'm willing to talk with people who agree and disagree with me. Those people get on their echo chambers, and many of them don't really disagree. They disagree, but every time on the panels, they always say, and yeah, this person is my good friend and all this other stuff. So if you're calling all these Republicans your good friend, but then on one hand trying to say, well, no, you can't vote for the Republicans because the Republicans don't believe in democracy. Well, if they're that bad, why are you friends with them? Right? You'll hear Bakari Sellout go on the panel and fake clash with Scott Jennings, and Scott Jennings is a good friend of mine. It's like, how, right? He's a Republican who's against everything that you believe in, and you're a Democrat who allegedly against everything, but we're good friends. And they're trying to make it seem like they're reaching across the aisle and all the stuff, because with them, when you get into the elites and upper echelons of society, although it always is about race, it's more about class in those contexts. They use the race arguments to distract, divide, and disenfranchise the lower class people as they perceive. And it works like a charm, because many people do believe that, hey, one day, you know, I'll reach to that level of prominence and be sitting up there with, you know, with the elite whites of the whites. But and in order for me to get up there, I'll talk about Chicago and St. Louis and Baltimore and how bad the blacks are. But it's like, dude, many of you people live in a lily white neighborhood. You live in Utah, Wyoming, Idaho. There's no blacks around you. Yeah, you're watching all of these disgusting algorithmic views and videos that show black people in a bad light, but you never even see black people. And then when you do see them, you have good experiences with them. Or you see one black person, and then that black person happens to be acting obnoxious. And it's like, see, all of the tropes were right. Okay, well then, if there's tropes about white people being bigoted and racist, and if I don't live next to whites and then I suddenly run into some white bigots, see, that confirms that all whites are racist. That's how stupid it sounds, right? So all the, what about Chicago? What about Oakland? Ask those people, bro, have you ever even been to Oakland? Hell no, I ain't going to Oakland. I ain't going to San Francisco. They shitting on the street. So it's like, bro, why are you complaining about San Francisco? You've never been. You don't want to go. So why are you complaining? That's like talking about a movie you never want to watch. I don't want to watch the damn Notebook. That stupid movie, I ain't watching it. Like, bro, have you ever seen The Notebook? Hell no, I ain't watching that movie. So why are you complaining about it? You didn't watch it, fine. Just shut up and won't you talk about the movies that you do like, right? You hate the black community so much. Okay, fine, you hate us. Why aren't you talking about the community that you love, right? They spend more time talking about a community that they hate. If we're so degenerate, right? Why are you watching our degenerate movies and music? Your kids are listening to degenerate music. Who raised these kids? Apparently you. You're raising your kids to be gravitated towards degenerate black thug music. Make it make sense. Damn, Braxton putting me on the spot. And no, I hate to say it, I haven't watched it yet. Maybe this weekend, because I know Easter weekend, maybe that'll be a good a good time to watch it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and transition into the next story, right? So when it comes to the Democrats, right? They believe that black people are their voter mules and minions. And because many in the buck broken, brain dead boule class have been voting blue no matter who, unfortunately, many of your elders and a lot of olders, your parents, your grandparents, etc. Now, some of them meant well, right? They thought that they were voting for harm reduction because the Republicans had been so blatantly vile and disgustingly anti-black that the Democrats could just come, throw a fish fry and say, hey, we see you, we love you, now vote for us. See, the Republicans wouldn't even give y'all fish, right? And we carry hot sauce in our bag. The Republicans wouldn't do that. And then we say, damn, you know what? The Republicans calling us nigger, and then the Democrats, well, at least they brought us fried fish. And then after they give you that fish and they say, those niggers took the fish, right? They don't say they took the bait. They say they took the fish, right? So, and I'm not saying that there's never been a Democrat policy that was proposed that was beneficial. There's never been a Democrat policy that I agree with, right? Both parties have put forth policies that I agree with and disagree with. The whole thing is that Democrats, they've used black people for decades to be voter mules. And it's not just them. Like I said, it's a system. The establishment requires, multiple entities. That's both of these parties and the outside influences of special interest groups, lobbyists, donors, plutocrats, etc., right? But if we've been voting for the Democrats, and I say we as a collective community, not me, I've never voted Democrat or Republican, right? But if we as a community have been collectively voting for the Democrats upwards of 80 to 90% on any given election, that means if we have criticism, 80 to 90% should be towards the Democrats, right? Because that's who you're voting to. The Republicans never called black people the backbone of the party, right? The Democrats have said that. Now, first they'll say black people, and then they'll do a gender divide and say black women to try to say, hey, black women, you don't even really need those black men. And they do that to help further destabilize the black community and to lean into, hey, y'all got that black girl magic, and the only thing that's holding you back is those evil black men. So you notice how black women, black people in general, but specifically black women, once they get them a white zaddy, somehow they just get elevated to the upper echelons of society. And many know that, but that's like a subconscious thing where people almost think that, well, the only way I'm gonna make it is if I, go suck on some white penis. You know what I mean? I.e. Kamala Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, she don't like penis, but she likes pink cooch. You know what I mean? You can just go down the list of people. Ketanji Brown, you know what I mean? That's supposed to be a win for black women, right? But why would you want your daughter to aspire to be Ketanji Brown, who doesn't even know what a woman is? So, but there has been a viral issue going around, and it has been of Nick Cannon and Amber Rose. So they are writing, I believe this is on Nick's podcast. First of all, I don't really care for Amber Rose. Nick Cannon, I'm kind of indifferent about them. I don't really have too many issues with them, but at the same time, all of these people, once you see that they've been accepted and adopted into the establishment by the ruling class, many of them have been buck broken and or are compromised, because you notice which things they will speak out. They'll say some things boldly with their chest, but it'll be ill-timed. A lot of times they'll be tap dancing, cooning and buffooning. And when it's really time for them to speak out on a meaningful issue, many times they're not around. So they'll speak out on a viral issue because they know it will keep their name in the headlines and it's good for clicks, it's good for business. All of these metrics are measured, right? Oh, look how polarizing this figure is. But what are they saying that's really meaningful? Because I know, shout out to Marquette Devon Burton, he talked about even Candace Owens, who I call Candace Owens, right? People were really tuning in to hear her talk about Brigitte Macron. The French president is married to a man. Like, who cares? Like, she hasn't proven it, but like, let's just say it's true. Okay, if it turns out that the French president is married to a man, is that going to lower interest rates? Are you going to be able to afford a home? Is rent going to get lowered? Is that going to fix the cost of gas, the cost of groceries? Are you going to be able to put your kid through college? Are you suddenly going to afford health care because you've confirmed that the French president is a man or a woman? But this is the level of substance that people follow Candace Owens over, right? She's supposed to be such a beloved friend of Charlie Kirk, right? But every day she does a video that's about an hour long, right? She only gives you like an hour. Here, tune in to the next one, right? But all she does is speculation. What bombshells is she truly, really dropping, right? I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, people have been so dumbed down that they just want to see a bunch of salacious, speculative comment. When you drop in facts and actually do cook, it's considered boring. So people just want to be entertained to death. So let me play some in this video. And this is him riding around with Amber Rose, who she is fine. I will give her that. But she is a biracial bozo bimbo. That's what she is. And Nick Cannon, I like bruh, but he is giving a bit corporate shill and stooge vibes with some of the things that he's been saying. So this clip is only like 1 minute and 37 seconds. I don't know where the full video is. I don't care to really search that long. I think a minute and 37 is ample time for me to break this down. But if y'all got the full video and y'all want me to address that, then I will. But let's get into it.
Part of the Republican Party.
That's right. Former Democrat, former liberal.
Yeah.
I was a liberal Democrat my whole life.
Is that because the bag has got so intense and so heavy that you had a whole nother, you up there with the elite now? Or?
Not even close. Not even close. Democrats don't care about black people.
Okay,
and they don't care about people. They don't care about people of color. And the Republicans.
Here we go again. Democrats don't care about black people. This I agree with her, right? But neither party does. And really, like, Amber Rose, what are you though? Because some days she doesn't want to be black. She used to be on the I know black. And she's a mixed race person with I'll give you the actual ethnicity. She's not foundational Black American. And it's nothing wrong with being biracial. If you want to get technical, anyone could really call themselves biracial, right? If you are 80% Negro, or they would say sub-Saharan African, right? If you're 80% sub-Saharan, right? And then you got 10% indigenous and 10% European. I mean, you can say that that's bi or tri-racial or mixed race, right? Even Europeans, right? They'll be mostly European and have some level of African ancestry. So that's a biracial. But no, it's like, nah, race is about how you phenotypically present as well. You know what I mean? So these are the games where people are like being done with people kind of trying to straddle the fence. If you're a zebra, you have to be a zebra every day. You can't go to the Oakland Zoo and you be a zebra and you're in Philly now. It's like, I'm not a zebra anymore. I'm a donkey or I'm a stallion. I'm different from a zebra. You don't see my stripes. And then you get back to the Oakland Zoo. You can't say I'm not a zebra just like you. It's like, I'm FBA. If I go to China, I'm FBA. I go to Japan, I'm FBA. I go to Kenya, I'm FBA. I'm in America. I go to Dallas, Texas, I'm FBA. I go to Boise, Idaho, I'm FBA. You can't just turn on and take off your lineage like a jacket. But there's this thing because we've tried to be all inclusive. It hasn't worked for us. It's worked for everyone else because they've used us as a political launching board, a doormat. If they step in poo, oops, I stepped on a big old pile of dog poo. They have their own doormat. Oh no, let's go wipe it on the black doormat. So they wipe their poo off on our doormat and keep ours clean. No gratitude or anything. Why is your doormat so dirty? It's like, why'd you wipe poo on my doormat? You know what I mean? So that's where we're at in terms of coalition building. We've always tried, but people are not trying to coalition build with us. They're trying to compete with us. They're trying to infiltrate via some mythical coalition only to turn their back on us. In California, right? They love to use the term people of color, but why is there an Asian and Latino pack? But I thought we were all people of color and minorities. No, the Asians and Latinos clicked up to go against us. And the few so-called indigenous, guess what? They were in there against us. So using the term people of color is extremely offensive, is quite pathetic, and it's just idiotic, right? And here she's saying Democrats don't care about black people. They don't care about people of color. Like, who the fuck are you talking about when you say people of color, right? It's a bunch of pale Asians that some are calling people of color. So who are we talking about? So the dark Filipinos are people of color, but the pale Japanese people aren't people of color. You see how confusing it gets? We are in the information age. If someone is Japanese American, let's just call them that. Filipino American, Mexican American, German American, Irish American. We've always done that, right? Asian people don't let themselves fall under just a banner of Asian. No, I'm Filipino, right? So why would we want to be falling under a banner of people of color? I would disagree vehemently with her. Democrats hate black people, but they love people of color because they don't know. No one knows who you're talking about, right? Are you talking about these white, Asian, K-pop, Korean people? Are you talking about some dark-skinned Filipinos? Are you talking about AOC? AOC is a person of color. What color is AOC? What color is Bad Bunny? Bad Bunny is a person of color. Remind me what color Bad Bunny is. He's brown. No, he's not. He's Puerto Rican. There's no color called Puerto Rican, and there's no color called Latino. They're not calling him a person of Latin descent. They're not calling him a person of Hispanic descent. They're calling him a person of color, but nobody could tell you what color they are. So please retire that, spread the message on. But since I told you people want to insist on using that term, fine, continue using the term person of color. And I have to refer to white people as people of no color, people who lack color, people devoid color, people with diminishing color. Let's get back into that.
Party.
That's right. Former Democrat, former liberal.
Yeah.
I was a liberal Democrat my whole life.
Is that because the bag has got so intense and so heavy that you had a whole nother, you up there with the elite now? Or?
Not even close. Not even close. Democrats don't care about black people.
Okay,
and they don't care about people. They don't care about people of color. And the Republicans do, and that's the misconception.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%. People don't know that the Democrats is the party of the KKK.
Yep.
People don't know that the Republicans are the party that freed the slaves.
Yep.
I mean, both of you and I have some conservative views. You just a little bit more outspoken about it than I am. And I don't subscribe to neither party. I rock with W.E.B. Du Bois when he said there's no...
See, this is why these terms don't even make any sense. First of all, the terms weren't meant for you. When you think of a liberal, do you think close your eyes and think of a liberal. What race of person do you think of? Close your eyes and think of a conservative. What race of person do you think? Close your eyes and think of a libertarian. What race of person do you think of? So her over here saying, I got conservative views. Right now, you can find all sorts of photos of Amber Rose spreading cheeks and showing that monkey. She looks good, by the way. The body is bodying. She got some cheeks. The areolas is sitting nice. It looks like she got some ooey gooey, slippery box, possibly, right? Now showing that off for the world to see, what is conservative about that? So when she was liberal, she was over there popping that cooch. Right now, anyone can type in Amber Rose XXX videos, Amber Rose leaked, Amber Rose shows her, type in any of this stuff and it's going to come up right now. What is conservative about that, right? Many of us have grew up with conservative family members and grandmas and stuff at Big Mama house, right? Big Mama was conservative. Do you think Big Mama would have been busting it open on OnlyFans? Amber Rose was fingering herself on dildos, getting hit from the bike, right? I'm just saying I would hit it from the bike in the front and the side, but I'm just saying everything I'm saying now, I would say to her. Amber Rose is a bigoted bozo bimbo. She is a baddie though, but a bimbo nonetheless. So both of these people are, while there is some sprinkles of truth in there, they are kind of gaslighting and misleading. The Republicans was the party who freed the slaves. This ain't the same Republican Party, right? So that is it. So, and then they put so much onto freeing the slaves. It's like you did a favor, right? Imagine somebody, there were two people, right? And they kidnapped a bunch of people. They were both complicit in the kidnapping. And then one of the people freed some of the hostages that were kidnapped. And it's like, well, you know, that boy over there, he freed the hostages. Yeah, he freed the hostages after he had sexually assaulted them, abused them, violated them. I mean, you want a cookie for doing what you should have never done? You know what I mean? You want me to praise someone for freeing slaves that they never should have had. They should have never enslaved people to begin with, right? Imagine someone RAPEs your daughter over and over and over and over, has her held up as hostage. And then they say, what, you know what? I'm gonna let her go. Hey, they freed your daughter, but now you have a daughter going back to your house that's traumatized, broken, with a blown out vagina. Are you gonna say, thank you for freeing my daughter? Like, come on, bruh. What the fuck are they talking about, bruh? And that's what I'm saying. Most celebrities are part of the biggest coons and idiotic class. Y'all got all this money and this level of low IQ intellect and discussion. And then people won't want to listen to me because I don't even have 1,000 subs. These people got millions of dollars and millions of subs, which means they should know better, right? I didn't graduate no Ivy League college and stuff. But I dismantle these type of arguments all the time. The people who are allegedly have more wisdom, more prominence, and more wealth than me, suddenly they can't fuck with me intellectually. Why is that, right? But don't trip. People will still look up to them, right? People talk about broke niggas all the time, all the day, and then they'll wear a Jesus piece. Jesus was broke. By modern standards, Jesus was broke and dusty, walking around with a bunch of rags, bro. He would have been a dirt bag, bro. He would have been looking like a homeless hobo. That's what all depictions of Jesus is, walking around with flip-flops. There was no lotion. Jesus was probably ashy as hell, right? Where was his grooming? He wasn't getting his hair braided, right? But this is who you allegedly worship. How are you going to worship a man like that who didn't care about any of that stuff? But materialism has become what you idolize. Oh, she got a BBL, but the bitch was lying. You feel me? Oh man, that nigga got hella money. The nigga was lying though, but because he got the iced out chain, I'm supposed to respect him. And we gotta stop with this goofy shit. And many of y'all, you know, should be strucken down, right? Because the good book teaches you to not be idolizing these celebrities and definitely not the materialism. But what do? Idolatry 101.
Part of the Republican Party.
That's right. Former Democrat, former liberal.
Yeah.
I was a liberal Democrat my whole life.
Is that because the bag has got so intense and so heavy that you had a whole nother, you up there with the elite now?
Not even close. Not even close. Democrat.
So Amber Rose ain't having sent. She gonna be sent to the blade. But I mean, maybe that cooch is heaven sent. Maybe if you get inside that box and it's ooey gooey and you start slipping and sliding, maybe the box is heaven sent. But her personality, I don't know. I don't know. But salute to Johnson Different, aka Johnson Natra. Salute to the Brody.
Don't care about black people,
Okay,
and they don't care
Kanye.
about people. They don't care about people of color, and the Republicans do, and that's the misconception.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%.
Thank you,
People
Nick.
don't know that the Democrats is the party of the KKK.
Yep.
People don't know that the Republicans are the party that freed the slaves.
Yep.
I mean, both of you and I have some conservative views. You just a little bit more outspoken about it than I am. And I honestly don't subscribe to neither party. I rock with W.E.B. Du Bois when he said there's no such thing as two parties.
Yeah. And he was supposed to make a movie about Dr. Sebi. Tariq Nasheed talked about it. Tariq said he was supposed to be in the movie, and then that movie just got shelved. Yeah, unfortunately, the people in that chosen community that wear the tiny hats, Nick got buck broken. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to see that happen to him. But you know, it's funny because every time, bro. Let me speak to the buck broken cats, bro. Y'all niggas got millions of dollars, bro. Why won't y'all just pay some niggas to crash out on y'all behalf? These niggas get buck broken by that community and turn into just like docile little beta butt boys. Y'all niggas don't want to say anything. They'll listen to a nigga like me. Where you at, nigga? I'll pull up on you, nigga. You'll pull up on me, and that'll be the last pull up that you ever do, nigga. Y'all niggas ain't pulling up on no Zios. Y'all niggas ain't pulling up on no Nazis, no white supremacists, no J people who is giving y'all these 360 deals and got y'all at these white parties. Y'all niggas over here talking about Diddy. Nigga, Diddy is a small fry. Y'all going, Diddy was rubbing baby oil on niggas. I mean, at least baby oil is good for your skin. These niggas going to parties doing satanic rituals where they rubbing blood and shit on them. So no, I don't respect none of these niggas, bro. I don't care what background they got, what type of money they got. What is there to respect about it? I'm not a millionaire, but I'm not getting buck broken. Nobody, you know, is you know, getting close to my cheeks, but these other cats, they got dudes getting very intimate with their cheeks and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Getting inseparable with their cheeks. What is there to respect about that, right? You getting buck broken, having millions of dollars, nigga. You can have a mini army, not to be violent, but to practice self-defense. He can create his own media apparatus to defend him against the J people. These niggas wouldn't have to say anything, but they want to still be ingratiated with the community that kicked him to the curves. He got buck broken by the J community, but he won't go at them because he knows that they sign a lot of checks. But nigga, how many checks have you already got? Like, you're already a millionaire, bruh. Your investments ain't popping off like that. Like, it just looks like extremely weak because a lot of these niggas like the Bible thump as well. All glory to God, bro. How is all glory to God when you're like obsessed with OnlyFans thoughts and material shit? Like, is that what would Jesus do? Would Jesus really have bought another Bentley? Nigga, you got 5 cars. Would Jesus have bought another Bentley? You already have a house that can fit your entire family. Would Jesus have bought 3 more mansions? Oh, what would Jesus do? Would he have bought a Jesus piece with an iced out crucifix? Would Jesus really have done that? The Jesus who was like a, you know, what some would call, like I said, a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat, it was his home, right? I'm just saying, like, a lot of this shit is hypocritical, bro. Both parties are against you. Neither party wants to see you win. Both of them are part of the establishment, beholden to their donors. They say who funds you runs you, right? Which in certain contexts is true, in other contexts is not, right? So if you donated, hey, I donated $20 to their campaign. Yeah, and someone else donated $200 million. Who you think they're going to listen to? I donated 2,000 and somebody else donated 200,000. And then somebody donated 200 million. So who you think they're going to listen to, right?
It's just one evil party with two different names. So
yeah, I mean, look, I listen, I'm not married to any party.
Right.
I voted for Donald Trump because we had two options and he was definitely by far the better option for us. And as of now, I agree with a lot of things that he's doing.
Cleaning house.
Yeah.
But he doing
But
what he said he was gonna do.
guess what? If there's a time where I don't agree, I'll say I don't agree.
And see, this is what I don't like when now I get it. Some of this stuff may just be for like kind of shock jock controversy to go viral. But saying Trump did everything he said he's gonna do, this is what I'm trying to say. This is why I can't fully rock with Nick Cannon, because he's part of that establishment thing, bro. He should be talking like me. Nigga, you got millions of dollars, bro. The way I'm talking, I ain't never gonna get millions of dollars talking like this. But you will get millions of dollars by butt kissing for either party. It's either you pull down your pants and bend over for the Democrats, or you pull down your pants and bend over for the Republicans. And since the Democrats kicked them to the curb, now they're saying here, hey, Republicans, look, my pants pulled down. You want to give my cheeks some attention? Like, bro, have some fucking dignity for yourself, bro. You're already successful. Maybe the bag is drying up because he got so many kids that he thinks he needs to do this. But, bruh, if y'all don't know politics, and I'm not saying you need to be a political savant, anyone can have an opinion, but just like assholes, everyone has one, right? But do you really care that everyone has an asshole? Just like an opinion. Do you really care that everyone has an opinion? Why would we care about Nick Cannon's opinion on this stuff? He hasn't showed a propensity to be astute in this political intellectual arena. But it's like, oh man, he's rich, so he can say it. It's like, yeah, bro, you can say whatever, but then it's open for interpretation and heavy scrutiny. So he's over here, Trump doing everything he said he was going to do. Nigga, no, he's not. He said he was going to do mass deportations. No mass deportations are going on. There's controversial deportations. It's not mass deportations going on. He said there were going to be no new wars in the Middle East. There's multiple wars going on in the Middle East. He said he was going to end the Russia-Ukraine war on day one. The war is still raging on. He said prices would go down. Gas prices are the highest they've been in over 20 years. So what is Trump doing that he said he was going to do? Yeah, he's doing controversial deportations and he's doing a lot of executive orders, but the only thing that he's been consistent on doing is trying to erase Black history. He's been consistent and vehement on that. I don't think every single instance is him, but he's letting Stephen Miller and many of his other white nationalist maniacs run amok. But what has Trump done that's like really made your life so much better? And mind you, I'm not a supporter of Kamala. I'm actually glad Trump won, not because I support him, but because all of the things that people said about this country, right? This country ain't racist. Y'all complain about racism too much. Now, what are they saying? We need reparations for illegal immigrants because Trump is racist. I thought you just said that the country wasn't racist, though, and we need to shut up about racism. They said, stop talking about race. We live in a colorblind society. Get over it and pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Okay, fine. I don't even want to talk about racism. So when Trump is rounding up people with ICE, why are we talking about racism? They're just doing their job, right? Why didn't they comply? Now people want to accuse you of xenophobia and all this other type of stuff. It's like, y'all got to stop with the double standards and hypocrisy. But let's let this video finish and then I'll delve into this topic a little bit more.
A whole nother, you up there with the elite now? Or?
Not even close. Not even close. Democrats don't care about Black people.
Okay,
and they don't care about people. They don't care about people of color. And the Republicans do, and that's the misconception.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%.
Thank you,
People
man.
don't know that the Democrats is the party of the KKK.
Yep.
People don't know that the Republicans.
Yeah, this whole whether they care about you, because no, the Democrats have been saying they care about. Republicans will call you a nigger to your face. The Democrats will say, hi, I care about you, but they care about you enough to not call you a nigger to your face. They go behind your back and call you a nigger, and then they have dinner with the Republicans who are calling you niggers, right? But hey, at least they didn't call it to you to your face. It's like, bro, they feel the same way. So I really don't care about what they feel about us. FDR and LBJ, all of the people that they try to tout, they hated black people. They were on record calling us niggers and all sorts of other inflammatory, offensive remarks. But you know what? If Trump right now and says, you know what? The niggers in this country are failing. And in order for those niggers to stop failing, we're going to do lineage-based cash payment reparations for those niggers. We are tired of the niggers being at the bottom. If he said it just like that and he signed that cash reparations check, hey, I'll be like, let him cook. Now, I wouldn't say that I suddenly need to worship Trump, that I think that Trump is a good guy or a great guy, but it's about quid pro quo. What have you done for me lately? Here, I have this leverage point. I'm going to offer you this, and you're going to give me this. That's what politics is and always will be about. So I really don't care if any of these people like us or whisper sweet nothings in our ear. What tangible specifics are you going to give to my community? And not only am I FBA one, right? I'm also America first. So I want to see the country thrive. We have been the only ones pushing for all lives matter legislation, which is why that's what civil rights is. See, when we fight for rights, we fight for civil rights, which means universal policy, all lives matter. These other groups fight for ethnic, racial, and national specific policy. Ilhan Omar, she will one day try to act like she's black to try to get black people to crash out for her, but every day she talks about Somali. There's even videos of her talking with other Somalis on how to box out black people because they didn't want Somalis in America to be run by black people. You talk about when we were fighting for civil rights, Mexicans were fighting for Chicano rights. I'm not a Chicano, but everyone could benefit from civil rights. I can't benefit from Chicano rights. When you hear people talking about indigenous rights, even though it's a bunch of indigenous people that aren't even indigenous. There's a lot of people that look like Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, Seth Rogen, and Elizabeth Warren. They're not indigenous, right? But unfortunately, this is where we're at with the political climate. FBA Strong says FBA hits well as logical, as chronological, as self-owned. To be honest, it sounds better than any classification I've heard involving other ethnic identities. I'm FBA, say it loud and confidently. I'll say the same thing too, because it's not even about what you like as well, right? Many people didn't like African American. It was just imposed on them. If you were born before 1988, which many of us were, you weren't born an African American. People that were born in the 60s were born as literally as people of color, Negro, and all this other type of stuff. That's what it said on your birth certificate. It didn't say African anything. African, calling yourself African is a relatively new term, and it was imposed on you to make you comparable to an immigrant group. And now it feeds into the line that they love to say, this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. We're all immigrants. This is a nation of immigrants. No, you're an immigrant, and there's nothing wrong with being that, but don't try to project your immigrant status onto me. Not every one of us came from Africa. It's just mathematically impossible. But hypothetically, theoretically, even if we did, there's no definition that you can find. Merriam, Oxford, Webster's, Google, Copilot, Grok, there's no definition where if you kidnap someone, forcibly transfer them against their will, there's no definition where that's called immigration. There's no definition to call enslaved people immigrants. So, and where are the so-called indigenous people, right? When they say this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, where are the indigenous people? They're just disappeared. They have nothing to say. Why would they allow that to be said? Because that's saying when you say it was built by immigrants, that's saying that the indigenous didn't build a good god darn thing. If that's the case, then let's just say it. Let's clearly say that the indigenous people didn't build a single solitary thing. And if they did build something, then we need to know specifically what they built, because then that would be a lie. A nation of immigrants built by immigrants. How was it built by immigrants? If you believe the indigenous people built something, they weren't immigrants. Foundational Black Americans aren't immigrants. And even by the definition, the colonial settler people weren't immigrants. By being a colonial power in itself is not immigration. You're going over there to oppress and conquer. That's not immigration. But like I said, words and definitions do matter, or at least they did.
Are the party that freed the slaves.
Yep.
I mean, both of you and I have some conservative views. You just a little bit more outspoken about it than I am. And I don't subscribe to either party. I rock with W.E.B. Du Bois when he said there's no such thing as two parties. It's just one evil party with two different names. So
yeah.
And see, this is where he starts sounding idiotic. Man, I don't rock with either party. And then you don't rock with either party, but then you start caping for one party. Now, if he's just doing this to be petty, which he may be doing that, because I know a lot of the liberals came after him with this, accusing him of anti-Semitism. But you sound foolish to say you don't rock with either party, and then you turn around and say, man, but the Republicans, man, they really for the people. It's like, it sounds like you rock with the Republicans, bro. If you don't rock with them, you should say that the Republicans are anti-Black and the Democrats are anti-Black. Both parties ain't gonna support us. And if we want liberation, it ain't gonna come through either of these parties. We need to pull our resources together and practice mutual aid. We need to start mentoring each other, tutoring, skill sharing. Why Nick Cannon ain't talking like that? I mean, bruh, that's all you have to do is say it. Nigga, this don't even cost you anything. So what is he saying that's uplifting you? What is he saying that's leading you towards building anything? All he's doing is saying that he don't rock with the parties, but then he's caping for the party. So what are you to take from this? All right, well, I guess the Democrats is bad, but I mean, the Republicans is better. It's like the shit don't even make no sense, bro. And mind you, this is a millionaire, bro. You've been around the upper echelon of society. I'm sure you have a certain level of education. Why are they giving this kind of vapid, feckless, vague analysis of both parties? Kind of weird. But, when you got the bimbo and then, unfortunately, a brother who's been buck broken, this is the level of analysis you get, unfortunately.
When he said there's no such thing as two parties, it's just one evil party with two different names. So
yeah, I mean, look, I listen, I'm not married to any party.
Right.
I voted for Donald Trump because we had two options and he was definitely by far the better option for us. And as of now, I agree with a lot of things that he's doing.
Cleaning house.
Yeah.
But he doing
but
what he said he was.
Guess what? If there's a time where I don't agree, I'll say I don't.
And this is what I'm saying. Nick Cannon got buck broke by that chosen community that wears tiny hats, right? Where's the smoke for them, bruh? Like I said, he don't even have to do it. Set up a media apparatus where people will go. He needs to hire his own version of like a Nick Fuentes, a black Nick Fuentes, or hire one of them, right? Because Malcolm X said, hey, if they want to, and I'm a paraphrase, right? If they want to harm a black person, they'll get a black person to do it just so they can say it was a black person. So see, black on black crime. Yeah, but you gave that nigga the gun and told him where to find dude and hey, I didn't force him to pull the trigger. Yeah, no one forced you to give him that gun and drop the dude's location either. So you know what I mean? So I just don't get it. It's kind of hard for me to respect. Like I said, I get it, bro. He don't want to jeopardize his money in his bag or anything, but start moving more covert and clandestine, bro. You guys got too much money to be, this stupid and simpish.
Don't agree.
Yeah. We got the Gulf of America now.
Period.
He charging, he's like the club. He charging a $5 million bottle service fee to get into the country.
I know.
I get it. This conversation is supposed to be tongue in cheek, but it's not funny. We got the Gulf of America now. Like, bro, what are you talking about? We got the Gulf of America now?
Who is we? Who is we?
Nigga, you don't have no Gulf of America, bro. What are you talking about, bro?
Listen. But guess what?
So that was the video of him saying, man, yeah, man, I'll fuck with Trump. How and why? Did Trump fuck with you? And if he does fuck with you, is it because you're tokenized, bro? Like I said, bro, sometimes you just got to know when you're being played. And if you, unfortunately, he's already been buck broken. So if you're just used to being buck broken, just say that, bro. Like, but don't try to project this onto us like, man, y'all just don't know, man. The Republican was the party who freed the slave. Both parties don't rock with us. You know that, bro. Just say it at that. If he said that, it will be okay. And that's why I can't rock with the brain dead bimbo Amber Rose. You see this? She tells Nick Cannon that white people should be able to say the N-word, but it's like, bro, you're a biracial bimbo, and she's not a foundational Black American, bro. She has a non-Black parent, and her other parent is like Cape Verdean or something like that. There's no foundational Black American. And what is with the obsession with the N-word, right? She's not saying that people, and why do they even want to say that word at all, right? Consider that word is supposed to be considered degenerate. So they'll talk about our culture of violence and degeneracy, but they want to say the most degenerate word in the human lexicon. Make that make sense, right? They talk about Black on Black crime, but then they want to kind of whack off to Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. There's no gun to your head forcing you. No, who was making them listen to Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy, right? When you got your little lily white daughter, Caitlyn or Karen or Joanne or Mary Sue, why are they twerking? Oh, because they heard Sexy Red or Cardi B, but you raised them. Why can't white people stop their kids from listening to degenerate rap music, right? Who raised these people? Well, you're raising these people. You go to a Black concert where they're saying nigga, nigga, nigga all day. There's barely any niggas around, which is quite confusing. Why are the Lily W's letting their precious white children go to these concerts where they know it's going to be a lot of depraved music and degenerate N-bombs? Make it make sense. And this is why people have a lot of issue with the biracials too, because they have a lot of dual racial allegiance. When she says white people should be able to say the N-word, what she's saying is, hey, my white parents should be able to call me a nigga. You know what I mean? Because I have a little drop of melanin in me. Okay, but you're not Black, and you're definitely not foundational Black American, right? And then also, this is the whole thing. Why, when someone is Black, biracial, or bi-ethnic, the first thing or their primary claim to fame is to be able to say nigga? Y'all don't want to learn about Black history. Y'all don't want to learn about the Black inventors. You don't want to build a Black business. I got one drop of Negro, so I want to say nigga. Okay. Show me the history of these people clamoring to say nigga. Show me the history of them building up a Black business. They don't build up no business with niggas. They don't tutor niggas. They don't mentor niggas. They don't help niggas in any way. But they say, hey, everybody should be able to say nigga. Well, everybody should be able to say bitch, fag, spick, wetback, and everything. All slurs matter. Merch coming soon. Shout out to Johnson Different, right? And I'm gonna do a grand rollout, so y'all be looking for that soon. I got some merch, not just the All Slurs Matter. I got some other merch I've been cooking up, and I'm gonna do a grand rollout. You know, hopefully, if y'all help me get to the 1,000 subs, you know, I'll drop it that day, right? But notice how they always want people to say, and it's just a word. Bitch is just a word. So I should be able to call your mama a bitch because it's just a word. And I'll even give a superlative, right? Your mama is a beautiful bitch, right? I ain't mean it like that. So I'm not calling her a bitch in a demeaning way. Isn't that what they say? I didn't say nigger. I said nigga, right? Well, I'll add an A when I call your mama bitch. Bitcha. You know what I mean? Does that change the impact? I didn't call her a bitch. I called her a bitch. Okay. But like I said, unfortunately, this is why people are kind of drawing a line in the sand. Is many of these tethers, bi-ethnics and biracial bimbos and bozos who they want to try to bestow the N-word onto everybody. Hey, I'm an immigrant, so all immigrants should be able to say nigga. It's like, okay. Mind you that people, they'll get in a tizzy over the word illegal alien, which is in the legal lexicon. I didn't come up with that term. They don't want you to call people illegal aliens, which is a legal status in this country. There's no legal status called nigger, though. As much as they want to make it, there's no legal status called nigger, right? So why should everyone be able to say that? But if you believe they should be able to, then every word is fair game. If I see your little daughter, little Susie with pigtails, oh, is this your daughter? She is so cute. How old is this little bitch? No, I didn't mean it like that. I meant your daughter is such a beautiful bitch. But I didn't mean it like that. It's just a word. Why are you getting triggered? And, you know, niggas could be bitches too, right? So I'm not gender biased, right? If I see your son, he just came from football practice. Oh, damn. How long that little bitch been playing football? It's just a word. I heard it in a rap song. And some women call each other bitches. So you can't get mad at me for calling your son and daughter a bitch. Do those arguments still hold? I'm just saying. But I'm going to get to the chat. It looked like y'all wilding in the chat. But, man, y'all get what I'm saying. Hold on. Let me play this video for my brother Tim Black.
Would you go to a restaurant that said they weren't serving you? Then why would you vote for the Democrats? They just told you they're not serving you.
We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. They are the future of America, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants.
What else the guy got to say? Then he lets in.
So how many times have you heard that? This is a nation of immigrants. This is a nation of immigrants. So first they said it's a nation of immigrants. Then they say it's a nation built by immigrants. And then you know what else they say? We're all immigrants. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants and we're all immigrants. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants and we're all immigrants. And then people start waking up in their sleep. This is a nation of immigrants. We are all immigrant. You turn into a robot. No, nigga, I'm not an immigrant. There's no immigrants in my family. There's nothing wrong with being an immigrant. Some of the most prominent, prolific, and really some of the best people in this country are immigrants themselves or have an immigrant background. Just because that's the case don't mean you need to try to project and bestow your immigrant status onto other people. I'm not a DACA recipient. You know what I mean? I have no other nation state that I'm subject to the jurisdiction of. This is my homeland. As much as people want to try to say, no, you don't know who you are. You don't know where you're from. Africa is your motherland. No, I never been to Africa. I don't know anything about Africa. When my family was building here, those African nations and tribes didn't even exist. So how the fuck am I from Africa, a place that didn't even exist? They want you to claim some generic plot of land? Nah, I'm good. And even in the birthright citizenship ruling, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, the Congress, who was very extremely bigoted, as y'all know, with the Dred Scott decision that said, hey, you niggers could never be Americans, right? This is essentially what they were saying. But then when they turned around and said, no, this amendment is for the formerly enslaved and their children, and they are subject to the jurisdiction of America because they've been here for over 5 generations at the bare minimum. Now, y'all don't have to take my word for it. Just look all this stuff up. Look how long 5 generations are. 100 to 150 years. So imagine you've been in a place 150 years and you ain't really from here. You from that place that y'all came from 150 years ago. It's like, but none of my people came here from that. Many of us were already here. And then the people who allegedly came from Africa, many of them got put on plantations that were like breeding farms. So for over 50 plus years, they were breeding foundational Black Americans like cattle. How are you going to get bred on this soil and this land and then you're still African? There was an ethnogenesis, which created an admixture, which is the mixture and amalgamation of formerly enslaved, indigenous, and European people. That's quite a different mixture from someone who grew up in Senegal and everyone around him looks like him and they mate with everyone that looks like them, right? There's no colonial admixture of slave owners, sexually assaulting people and stuff. So it's just different. You know what I mean? I'm not saying one is better, but there is a distinction. But I'm playing this to show that like the Democrat Party have replaced Black people. Now, what they're trying to do is get Black people to vote for the final nail in the coffin. But this is the reason why they brought over millions of people, not because they're so benevolent and they just love these people. They see them as a new voter constituency. And on top of that, Americans in general, but they don't care about the Blacks. So specifically white Americans, they're not having enough babies. So when they bring over people to the tunes of tens of millions and they come over here predominantly through illegal means, even if they didn't come legal people as well. This is why birthright citizenship is being challenged. The first order of business is to have a baby. If you cross the country illegally and you didn't want to go back to your homeland, like don't think this is xenophobia or anything. Just put yourself in the shoes. If you were an illegal alien, an undocumented migrant, an unauthorized migrant, however you want to classify it, right? What would be the first order of business for you? Right? Because you're seeking a better life, but you're seeking a better life here. You're not trying to go back. What will ensure that you get a better life here? Not working a job. People work all the time, right? But guess what will ensure you get a better life here? Having a baby, which is why they're called anchor babies. The baby anchors you here. And people, by the time they see their case, they say, okay, look, you got to come back and see this asylum case in 3 years, 4 years, right? How many babies could you have in 4 years? So now you got 2-3 babies. You came here illegally and you're working. And when it's time to send you back and deport, no, you can't separate families, right? So then if you say, okay, fine, we won't separate families, we'll deport them all together. How could you? That's inhumane. Like what? So basically you're supposed to just be so sympathetic, right? Because someone came here illegally and was fleeing gang violence and just start pumping out kids, then suddenly, maybe we should excuse that they broke the law, right? They were just trying to feed their family. It was a bunch of dudes selling a little bit of weed to try to feed their family, just to get a little bit of pocket change, right? They were labeled as violent thugs and criminals and locked up. But we should just let people cross the border illegally just because they're seeking a better life. How many kids in the hood are seeking better life? But you don't care. Fine. It's okay that you don't care about those kids in the hood seeking a better life. So I don't give a fuck about someone in Tijuana seeking a better life. I don't care about someone from Bogota, Colombia seeking a better life. I don't care about someone from Djibouti seeking a better life. I am FBA 1, America first, right? I hate to be like this, but what other choice do I have? If I'm not going to stand up for my community, who will? All these other groups are talking about people of color. Who the fuck are you talking about? They don't talk about people on color crime. They talk about black on black crime. So in order for me to stop and mitigate black on black crime, I need to focus on black issues, not people of color issues, because I don't even know who you're talking about.
That said they weren't serving you, then why would you vote for the Democrats? They just told you they're not serving you.
We have 24 out of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. They are the future of America, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants.
What else the guy got to say? Then he lets in 20 million people, and you go, well, maybe, I don't know. These people are spineless. And when we say they're trying to replace us, people get mad. They say, you're using a white supremacist talking point. Using logic. You married? Are you a married person? You have a spouse? If you were so bold to bring women home, I'm just saying, what was your wife think? Oh, nothing. She's just here to clean up stuff. Ladies. I mean, what are we talking about? What I can't stand is the gaslighting. We can see what he did. He said with his whole chest, I don't care about you. You don't matter. You suck. It's about the immigrants. He said it with his whole chest. And then you get mad at Nick Cannon? You get mad at Amber Rose? They're not even on their... Here's your problems. Here goes Nick and Amber.
Yeah, so some people are in denial, you know what I mean? And a lot of the main reason is because people want this interracial sexual access, which is unfortunate, right? Because I know some people, you know, they love that spicy Latina cooch, you know what I mean? You get in there, you feel me, and you start, you know, drinking horchata from her cooch, and then suddenly you don't want to stand up to the vile anti-blackness in their community. And same thing with some of the sisters, right? They may not want to deal with, you know, Jamal or Man, so they start hollering at Jorge and Miguel and, you know, want a taste of his hot tamale, right? And that's fine. If you want to interracially date and mate, I'm not the penis police and I'm not the vaginal detective, right? Do you and do who you do, right? But once you start putting that ahead of your community, your ethnicity, and your lineage, I can't respect that. And I know some of my OGs taught me that when, and I'm going to paraphrase, but you know, when many black people, when they interracially date, they come out the bed confused. So you may see a fine little Becky or a Karen, right? A Mary Beth, a Joanne, right? And, you know, she may have some, you know, some really good cooch. You know, she makes potato salad with raisins just the way you like it. You love the tuna casserole, you know, you stop drinking coffee and you're only drinking the matcha now, right? And now, because you like the way she treats you, you're unwilling to call out white supremacy because you're like, well, my baby mama is white, so not all white people was bad. Like, huh? Like, bruh, we're talking about a system. White supremacy is a system. It's not saying that every white person is racist. However, the bulk of white people do help uphold the system of white supremacy, but you don't have to be white to be a white supremacist, right? You know, it's white supremacy. It's a system, an ideology, you know, a set of codified ideals. So unfortunately, many people, they'll get with somebody and they don't want to kind of upset the apple cart. Even right now, there's a story of this dude named Jaden Ivey. He went on what they call an anti-LGBT rant. He is married to a snow bunny, and suddenly she's not answering his calls anymore. So she's probably gonna try to divorce him and get it and get a bunch of money, right? But what I'm saying is sometimes people are marrying people for reasons that are based on lust. So then when you get with these other communities and you think like, oh man, I love this Asian persuasion, man. I love me a snow dragon, man. You know, and you like eating egg rolls and dipping it in soy sauce and stuff, right? But then when it comes time for some political issues, you be like, damn, why is my wife acting and talking like this? Where it's like, well, they say two things you're not supposed to talk about when you're dating and mating and with family is politics and religion. But those are the two things. It's a tricky situation, but you should talk about, because you get with someone and you think you love them. But why do you love them? You loved it because you thought the D was good. You loved them because you thought the cooch was good. But when the rubber meets the road, this person may have held some bigoted views or anti-black views or some fill in the blank views. So this is why it's important for people to kind of see where your partners stand on critical social issues. And oftentimes, many people in the black community, they come out of the bed confused, right? Karen gave you some head and you like, damn, Karen, she gave you some head and she swallowed, your man milk smoothie. So she swallowed the man milk smoothie, but Karen has bigoted views. But because you like getting top, you don't want to upset the apple cart. It's like, and then people start having kids. Now you got these biracial kids that are confused, who one day they're black and then another day they're white, but the whites don't accept them. Then another day they're biracial. So unfortunately, many people with this interracial dating and mating has led them to a state of confusion and to where, they no longer want to fight with and for their people because they have a confused identity. So, it's a big cluster flop and it is quite complex. But I think of all people, the people who are biracial and triracial, they should be the ones who should be bringing all the people together, right? If your mama is black or your daddy is black and your mama is white, then that there have already been a union, was supposed to be a sacred and a spiritual union of the races. So y'all should be leading the charge to dismantle this stuff. But what they try to do is say, I don't see color. Like, bruh, of course you see color. That's why if your daughter is hella light, people gonna be calling her a light bright, a red bone. Some people might have slurs calling them Oreos and all this other type of stuff. Everyone sees color. So, and that's just what I don't like, bro, because, and this is what's led to a lot of issues as well, because people are unwilling to call out this buffoonery just because they want sexual access. And it's unfortunate because once you hit that Latina cooch, it may be good, right? You may bust that nut, but she's not confused after you bust that nut. You are confused, right? Jamal turned into Jorge, but Maria, she's still Maria, right? So let's get to the chat and I'm going to bring up the next video. The sexual access, that point was made by Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, reinformed by Tariq, Gus T. Renegade, and the New Black Media. Yeah, and salute to Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, legendary thought leader. Gotta read the ISIS paper. This is exactly why I'm a party abolitionist, because from the very inception, parties are designed to place the party interest above the public interest. Yes, so right now, both parties have a public interest in opening the border because they're beholden to their donors. Their donors want cheap labor. When you see all of these high-rise buildings, they're going to use undocumented labor to do it, not because no one else would do the job. You mean to tell me, like, if you look at any football team, guess who's physically dominating on the team? The black players, right? So you mean to tell me that these black players are physically dominant in terms of running route, lifting weights, and just being physically imposing, but they can't do construction? What's harder, being athletic, agile, and using your strength in football drills or construction. Here, lift this and hammer that nail. Here, lift this piece of wood, right? They got people over here, bro. Have y'all seen some of these construction crews? A lot of those dudes got pot bellies. Some of them is hella short. I'm not trying to height shame or be fat phobic or something, but it's like, man, you go to these high school teams, it's a bunch of young bulls out there jacked up, hella fast. So you can't convince me that they got a bunch of fat beer belly dudes out there, but because they don't speak English and they're docile, that somehow they're better workers than the young black dudes who are just physically strong and imposing. Make that make sense for me. Then it try to turns into, well, they don't want to do the job. Well, no, pay those kids American wages. I can guarantee you they will do the job off top. Now, if you try to just say, hey, we'll give you, a Gatorade and a bag of Takis, yeah, of course they ain't gonna do it then. But you said YT will marry and date outside their race, but they keep the dub S perspective intact. Examples I've seen quite a few times when they have mistreated their mate partner right to their face. Look at Jonathan Majors, right? Jonathan Majors was bunny hopping. He was running away from the bunny. She was assaulting him. And then in order for him to get away from the assault, he had to push her. And they was like, see, he's a violent thug. It's like, bruh, well, bunny hopping can be dangerous for some, right? So bunny hop at your own risk based on a social or racial issue outside the relationship. Yeah, man, it's crazy, bruh. So let me go ahead and transition into this next video. It's going to be a kind of extension of what I talked about. So I may not cover every part of this video, because I do want to touch in on the birthright citizenship a little bit. And then also I know Big Rig is going to go live. So I'm going to kind of speed through a little bit so I can, go support the brother over on his channel. And then who knows, I'm kind of feeling it tonight. So after Big Rig, I might hit y'all with a double header, man. Who knows? But let's get into it.
Let's run it.
And already pet the video.
I'll be so
Republicans.
Okay, great.
Already played that video of Nick Cannon, so I'm just gonna fast forward it to his commentary.
Excommunicating people that voted Democrat. They kind of just go, stupid, and they just keep it moving. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, when are people just going to admit the Democratic Party is very much a bully? But let's get into it. Let's unpack it for real. So Nick Cannon's outspoken. He says, hey, obviously this is about Nick Cannon. We already know about Amber Rose. Hell, she spoke at CPAC. We already knew Amber Rose, how she felt. But see, that's the whole thing. Nick Cannon brought this topic up. So that means Nick Cannon wants to make the issue an issue. He was willing to have a conversation. He's willing to put it out there. He's literally driving the truck. He's literally leading the conversation about how she voted. He already knew she was a Republican. So he wanted to voice his opinion. So I want to give a big shout out to Nick Cannon for just being a black man with guts. It's so rare to see it because we know it's a price to pay. It's a price to pay to be a black man and to speak against the Democratic Party. We know that. And if you doubt it, if you want to say whatever you want to say, just go look at this social media right now about Nick Cannon. But I want to, for once and for all, fam, I want to just say, let's clear this shit up about the Democratic Party and the KKK. Okay, so I wrote down a couple things because we always talk about it. It keeps coming back. It's like a turd that just won't go down. Every time I turn around, someone's bringing this up, and it caused a conversation that people keep having to have. And I want us to be done with this conversation. I want at least for the people that are watching, I want you to know empirically, all straight up, no chasing, what the deal is. Look, Yes, the Democratic Party was the institutional home of the KKK. Full, no stop, bam. Bam, there it is, no breaks. Democratic Party, own it. I'm tired of y'all trying to slide away in your slides. Tired of you trying to skirt away your slides on this issue. You were the party of the KKK.
So yes, and I think that this point is overstated when it says that the Democrats were the party of the KKK, because both parties were anti-black. So when the Republicans make that, that statement and claim that, hey, the Democrats, it was really them. It's like, no, always ask them. Okay, fine. Because if there's a drive-by in LA, right, and they say it was the Crips, it was the Bloods, do they say it was the Crips and the Bloods, or do they say it was the blacks? Do they focus on the gang, or do they focus on the race of the gang? Fine. The Democrats were the party of the KKK. Remind me, what race were those Democrats? Because there's no race called Democrat, right? So what race were they? Because that's all people seem to care about. If there's a vice lord that does a crime, you want to know what race they are. If there's a Crip that does a crime, you want to know what race they are. If there's a cartel member, what cartel member and what race or ethnicity. But when it comes to politicians or a political apparatus that does something vile and disgusting, it was the Democrats. Okay, yeah, but what race were they? Because even right now, if we said in modern time it was the Democrats, there's Asian Democrats, there's Jewish Democrats, Black Democrats, white Democrats. So there's no race called Democrat. So when we're talking about specificity, I want to know what race those people were. And it will come back to what we know. White Democrats were the party of KKK, and they were supported by white Republicans. And when they say the party switched, it was other white parties switching, and all of them still held anti-black views. So why are we fixated on a party again? Both parties hate you. Both parties support replacing and displacing you. So I don't care if it's Republicans, Democrats, or Libertarians, right? But I do want to know what race they are for specificity. Why doesn't the race issue ever come up as it pertains to political parties, but people are obsessed with race when it talks about gangs? The biggest gang is the boys in blue, the police. So the biggest gang that we know are the police. And guess what race predominantly are the police? White people, right? If you look at Crips, you want to say, well, that's a black gang. Okay, well, the biggest gang are the cops. So is that a white gang? I'm just saying. Guess who has a strict no snitching policy? Guess who has the strictest no snitching policy? The problem with the black community is y'all uphold the no snitching policy. Bro, have y'all seen what happened to cops who snitch? So the police are over here trying to tell black people, like, y'all need to snitch more. Now, we ain't going to protect you niggas, but just snitch. And then you know what happens to the police who snitch. And it's a lot of niggas who do snitch. So I don't even, it's hella funny why they trying to act like nobody is telling anything. And why would niggas have to snitch anyways with all of these millions and millions that they getting every year? Where the fuck is this money going? They got surveillance everywhere. Bro, if you see that light and you try to speed through, you can have a 454 in your Hellcat. If you speed through that light, that camera is still quick enough to catch your license plate. So we got all of this advanced technology, but we ain't solving no crimes. Why are you relying on someone to snitch when you got all these cameras? Unless it's there's a lot of areas where there's no cameras, but then that's on the city. Because if y'all know there's an area that because most of the crime is centralized, right? Why would all the cameras be in the Lily area where there's no crime going on, right? You guys are benevolent angels. Y'all don't commit crime. So why do y'all need all those cameras? Oh, it's just for traffic stops, right? But you said that these black people are savage thugs. So you know that the low IQ savage thugs are going to commit crime. Why isn't there mass surveillance? And I'm being facetious, but it's real. They already have Palantir and all the stuff that they're spying on us. Fine, you're spying on us. At least put it to some use. They have all this technology, but they're not solving any crime. We relying on a community to snitch. It's like, no, won't you rely on that satellite that you got? You got Palantir hacking everybody's phone, but they can't hack into find out who snitched on who killed who. Okay, this is all by design, man. But they want to pretend like, they really care about black on black crime. And if that's the case, why aren't you doing anything to stop it? Why aren't they solving any crimes? You can't throw money at the problem, but yet every year the cops are begging for more money. What do you need more money for? You didn't do shit last year. You didn't solve shit last year. You didn't stop shit. They got guns, drones, robot dogs, tanks, flash grenades, frag grenades. They got a taser that can hit you running away. They got shotguns, M16s, handguns. They got pepper spray, bear spray. But we need more money because we fear for our life. Like, how much shit do y'all need, bruh? Like right now, if you have backup, a shotgun, a K9, a blade, a K-bar blade, like, bro, why would you be fearing for your life? You got an AR-15 and a taser and a dog and a partner and a drone and a robot dog. I fear for my life. If you that pussy and you scared, bro, go to church. So we gonna get into this next video right here. In case you haven't been paying attention, there is the Birthright citizenship case making its rounds to the court right now. And these, I'm only, depends on how much I'm gonna touch on this, because like I said, I probably got like 20 more minutes left, so I could go check out the bro Big Rig. But the 13th and 14th Amendment applied to slaves, and then since the anti-black Congress, they were like, no, we wanted to apply to persons. Now, they didn't expect it to, we're assuming they didn't expect it to be the open borders that Biden and the Democrats, well, both parties have presided over. So there's a lot of chicanery going on with the language, but we're going to get into it. Birthright citizenship. I don't think Trump will win this case because both parties have already committed and conceded to the point that they want this country to be majority Hispanic. Is not necessarily like a natural or organic thing. It's something that was planned and manufactured, which is why when they opened the border of over 20 million plus people, which is the low end and the moderate number, over 80% of them were Hispanic. And once again, there's no race called Hispanic, so we don't really know who they're talking about. Some were Venezuelan, some were Brazilian, some were Honduran, some were Mexican, some were Puerto Rican, but they're all under this umbrella of Hispanic, so you don't even really know who they're talking about. And many of them are white, because there's no race called Hispanic. So once they have these babies and replenish the births, it will be babies that can claim Hispanic. And since many Hispanics practice mejoró la raza and blanqueamiento, those babies will continue to come out lighter, brighter, and the key word, whiter. So this is a ploy to not only displace and replace black people, but also have a different constituency of more docile voters, but also add many of the Hispanics. Many of them will be folded into whiteness, i.e. like the Italians, they weren't white. They came over here. They were called Guineas, which were saying they were African, which were saying that they were niggas. The Irish people weren't considered white, Syrian people, but now someone from Palestine until 2030, someone from Palestine is considered white in this country. Someone from Egypt is considered white. Someone from Lebanon is considered white. So, of course, many of those Hispanics will be considered white as well, because there's no race called Mexican. There's no race called Venezuelan, and there's no race called Puerto Rican, right? Many of them are light and bright like AOC. In AOC, you see what her husband looks like. Her husband is a white dude. So if they have kids, do you think those kids are going to be Hispanic, or are they going to be folded into white society?
Today in multiple ways at the Supreme Court as the justices hear arguments on the issue of birthright citizenship.
Sir, at issue will be the president's executive order ending automatic birthright citizenship for the children of illegal immigrants. And it will be argued historically in front of the man who signed that order, President Donald J. Trump, the first time a sitting president has attended a Supreme Court argument.
This could be intimidating.
Very much. So joining us now is senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. So, Judge, this all hinges on the 14th Amendment, which was passed and designed to basically ensure freed slaves were U.S. citizens. It comes down to the definition of, quote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
Right. So the 14th Amendment doesn't say all persons formerly held in bondage shall be American citizens. It said all persons born here and naturalized shall be American citizens. And that has been interpreted, with the exception of one case, uniformly to mean every human being born here, no matter the circumstances of their birth, unless the mother was the spouse of an invader, or unless the mother was a diplomat or the spouse of a diplomat, since diplomats and invaders are not subject to the jurisdiction of the country. The government argues that if a woman comes over the border just to give birth so that the baby is an American, and then she and the baby and presumably a spouse receive benefits from the state in which the baby was born, they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States because their true loyalty is to the country from which they came. The Supreme Court has ruled, with the exception of one case, get to it in a minute, everybody born here is an American citizen. The one case involved Native Americans who at the time were considered, this is after the Civil War, but before World War I, when the law changed, they were considered citizens of a foreign nation located physically in the United States, nations that had treaties with the United States. Congress reversed that decision by enacting a federal statute that says all persons born on these tribal lands are American citizens and have all the privileges thereof.
So you were just telling us in the commercial break that in the first 10 minutes of today's hearings, you'll be able to tell where they are leaning. And it's worth noting that everyone can listen at home as well. They'll be streaming this.
You won't be able to watch it, but you can listen to it.
Right.
I'm watching two people. We probably have a good idea which way the real conservatives, my college classmate Justice Alito and Justice Thomas, are going to go, and we probably know which way the three liberals are going to go. We want to watch the folks in the middle. In this case, two of them, the Chief Justice and Justice Gorsuch, will probably give us an indication of how the court is going to go based on the tenor of their questions and how aggressively they question the lawyers for the government. Those are the two that I'll be watching.
So do you
So this was what he said prior to them having and if you want to go watch that, they did do a hearing today. It was a long hearing, I think like 3 or 4 hours or longer. So here I'm going to react to the bigoted blonde bimbo bombshell, Megyn Kelly, and then she has two lawyers on the opposite side debating this. I don't think that Trump will win this one. I think he has a legitimate right to bring it up. I do concur, like birthright citizenship. I think that it's too broad and it should be more tightly codified rather than anybody from anywhere can just come here and just pop out a baby and voila, they're American citizens entitled to the same benefits as you. Like, it does somewhat, like some say, kind of cheapen citizenship, you know what I mean? Especially someone who has like fought, bled, and died. Imagine you had I'll use sports since people love sports, right? You on the Lakers, right? You've been fighting, bleeding, dying for the Lakers, right? You've helped the Lakers win the championship, get to the playoffs and everything, right? and somebody comes and then just because, you know, they arrive at the gym wearing a Lakers jersey where it's like, you can't deny them a spot on the Lakers team. Is like, but they didn't prove anything. And then if they happen to make a layup, then it's like, oh, yep, that's good. So they made one layup and they're on the team, and I made a million layups. And now, you know, we're on equal footing, and they should be a team captain. It's like, bro, they just got here. It's like, well, you don't want to discriminate against them. Actually, I do. Like, I've been putting up a bunch of shots, and this person just got here. They put up one shot, and that's supposed to equate to my million shots, right? And then it's the argument starts framing into, well, you know, all teammates matter, and, you know, all players matter, and all this stuff, you know. So this is where we're at with it. All immigrants matter. All human beings matter. Okay, they do, but that doesn't mean all human beings need to come to America. A lot of people say that these people have richer cultures and they have higher IQs, right? So why are they fleeing their homeland? Oh, the U.S. destabilized them. Okay, if the U.S. destabilized their country, then how about the U.S. help stabilize their country so that they don't have to flee? No, they still want to flee. So I thought it was about destabilizing. So imagine somebody comes over and they mess up your house. The dishes are disgusting. You know, they tracked mud on your carpet. Your house is a mess now. Would you say, man, you made my house messy? Man, are you going to clean this house up? No, man, you made my house messy. Now I have to live with you. Huh? This shit don't even make any sense, right? The U.S. helped to stabilize Mexico, so we're going to the U.S.? Like, why won't you stay and fight? Why aren't you pushing for the U.S. to destroy and repair what they built? Instead, you're just saying, yeah, they destroyed it, so I'm going to just go to the people who destroyed it, right? How does that make sense?
Over 1 million of them come to America, have a kid, and then go back to China, never step foot in America again, but can vote in our election. Why should Chinese birth tourists, over 1 million of them, come to America, have a kid, and then go back to China, never step foot in America again, but can vote in our elections and can take American welfare? Do you think that's what the proponents and the public understood the 14th Amendment to mean, or any subsequent statute after the 14th Amendment? Is that what birthright citizenship means to you, Dave?
Well, you mentioned that in the Wong Kim Ark case, that the court mentioned that the parents were lawful and permanent, and they did. You're right about that. But that's because those were the facts in the case before then. The court's legal reasoning, though, did not depend on their visa status. And, you know, we don't want to be confused between a fact and a rule. In that Wong Kim Ark case, the court noted the parents were legal residents because that was their specific story. But the legal rule there is that the court announced it was based on what's called the right of the soil, where the 14th Amendment requires, if that amendment requires lawful status, it would have said all persons born to lawful residents. It doesn't. It says all persons born.
Should Chinese birth tourists get American citizenship?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say it again?
Should Chinese birth tourists get American citizenship?
Well, according to the 14th Amendment, if someone is born here, they're subject to that 14th Amendment, which says all persons. And yes, they get citizenship. That's the way it's always been. In fact, every single judge has ruled that way, including the judges here in this case. And that's why I think this case, the Supreme Court is going to be 7-2, maybe 9-0. The Constitution is what it says it is.
No, it's not going to be 9-0. Not this one. Thomas and Alito aren't going to go. I think Thomas and Alito might back the administration.
You're probably right about that.
I don't think they've got Roberts. Are we shocked, Mike? We're not shocked. Kavanaugh, here's a little of Kavanaugh. We're just looking at the conservative justices, since we know what the libs are going to do, but there's only 3 of them. What typically happens in these swing cases is you got to look at Roberts, you got to look at Kavanaugh, you got to look at Coney Barrett, and you got to look at Gorsuch. I think Thomas and Alito will be in the president's camp. But here's a little from Kavanaugh asking questions of John Sauer, the administration's advocate. Listen here, SOT 3.
Given Wong Kim Ark,
one might have expected Congress to use a different phrase if it wanted to try to disagree with.
So let me just show y'all one thing right here, just because a lot of people don't know. This is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. We're all immigrants, right? So they're just going to keep saying that over and over because repetition is the mother of all learning. So the more they say that, you're supposed to be inundated with that and say, you know what? I guess, this is a nation of immigrants and it was built by immigrants. It's like, no, it wasn't. You know what I mean? The immigrants came after and contribute, but a contribution is not a creation. So we have to be very clear about that. You know what I mean? And let me commend them for their contributions, because there were some notable contributions, but once again, a contribution is not a creation. If I built a Ford Mustang for the ground up, and then you come and help me install, some speakers, already had the speakers, but you helped me install it. You contributed to the greatness of this car. Hey, I built this Mustang. No, you didn't. You helped me do some electrical wiring, which I'm grateful of. You contributed to the greatness of this car. But to say you built this car would, be a stretch too far. The same thing that people always do, and I'm going to have to do a stream specifically dedicated towards this. I'm going to ask you on the chat, right? When people say they, and the they is the fill in the blank, they built the railroads. Who is the they that they usually are referring to? I hopefully one person answer, and then I'm gonna go into my, harangue. But yeah, they built the railroads. Who is the they that society says built the railroads? And why y'all tell me that in the chat, who is the they who built the railroads? I want y'all to look up this. There's a billionaire. His name is Zhu Bo, or Zhu Bo of Duyoi Network, right? He's a Chinese video game billionaire. He founded the Duyoi Network. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I don't know. But he's been linked to over 100 children, many of them born in the United States via surrogacy, right? His ex-girlfriend alleged that bro could have up to 300 children, though this claim is disputed. But see, they're not clear about it, right? It's disputed, but what's the dispute? Are they saying instead of 300, he has 350? Or are they saying instead of 300, he has 200 or 250 or 299? Who knows? It's not clear. Now, Zhu has reported that he wanted to have around 20 U.S. born children, mostly boys. Now, it's a big planet. Why would he want his kids to be born in the U.S.? He's Chinese, right? Chinese people have a rich culture. They're extremely smart. They're the model minorities, right? So why would this Chinese billionaire want his kids to be born in U.S. specifically? Not in Europe, right? Not in Kenya, not in Dubai, not in Israel, in U.S. Could it be for birthright citizenship? So this dude could be in China, pay a bunch of American chicks to pop out babies by surrogacy, and now his kids are American citizens that can roam freely, have all of the rights, and he never even has to step foot in America, right? When they talk about sleeper cells and invaders and all this stuff, I mean, if I was an invader, I would do something like this, especially if America is going to be this lax with its national security. They say, what would Jesus do? Well, what would China do? Because they love to say how China is our enemy. Russia is our enemy. Well, Russia wouldn't do this and China wouldn't do this, but we'll do this and allow a bunch of Chinese people to come over. And this is to not demonize or denigrate the Chinese people, but this is what the American government does. China is our enemy. So how would that help us by having a Chinese billionaire paying to have a bunch of American kids who are going to be American citizens with full rights so they can go back and forth to China and back and forth to America? Most of the times when they have these kids, they raise them in other countries so that they can be culturally immersed in their nationality or ethnicity, but they're still anchored here as American citizens? Is that what the framers of the Constitution would want? You could assume that they did want that, and others could assume that they didn't want that, right? So surrogacy is illegal in China. So again, China don't have the birthright citizenship like we do, and they don't have the surrogacy like we do. And they love to say that China is our enemy. China is our enemy. That's where the Kung flu came from. And then it's like, okay, you guys need to wear a mask. Where are you going to get them from? China? I thought you just said they was our enemy. So why will we be getting all of these supplies from our enemy? Well, you know, at the end of the day, we are capitalists. So do they really care about the country? If China was that bad, why are we giving them trillions of dollars in, you know, economic upliftment, right? So children born in the U.S. automatically receive U.S. citizenship, which is being challenged now. Reports describe a growing trend of Chinese elites building mega families through American surrogacy networks, right? And this is just being allowed to happen. Where are the RICO charges for this? No one cares, because it's not Africans and it's not black people doing it. It's the model minorities doing it. But then when they use this to wield their power and they start to take over things, then people start talking about the great replacement. And if there was a great replacement, who was in charge, right? Y'all said that the black people was low IQ, thuggish monkeys who have no power or infrastructure. So clearly it was the high IQ Lily W's in power who allowed all of this stuff to happen. So why are you blaming George Floyd and BLM? George Floyd has been gone for a long time. George Floyd is not mass surveilling you. The reason why you can't afford housing costs right now, it's not because of BLM, right? But let's get back into the video. And like I said, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit here, and then I'll probably be here for like another 15, 20. I'll get ready to shut her down. But, you know, I may come back a little bit later with a late night banger for a doubleheader. Just all depends on how I'm feeling and how I'm responding. You know. Oh, and then actually let me respond to the brother before I pull this up, right? I asked the question, right? When somebody says, hey, they built the railroads, who is the they that they're referring to? And FBA Strong hit it. The Chinese lie. I've heard so many people just flat out say the Chinese built the railroad. Chinese people built the least amount of railroad. Do I got to say that one more again? Chinese people built the least amount of railroad, but they get the most credit. Imagine we on a basketball team. I didn't score 100 points. Somebody else scored 35 and somebody else scored 20. Hey, thank you for your solid contribution of 20 points. Hey, thank you for your solid contribution of 35. What's a bigger number, 20, 35, or 100? So if I scored 100 points, but you say that the person who scored 20 points is the one who won us the game, people will be looking at you like you are a zip damn fool. And that's how it is when y'all put this fallacy. The Chinese built a railroad. No, they didn't. They built the least amount of railroad, and most of the railroad they built was on the West Coast. Chinese people built close to 700 miles of railroad. Foundational Black American freedmen built over 9,000 miles of railroad. What is a bigger number, 9,000 or 700? So why do you think in history it's painted as the Chinese built the railroad when they built the least? There were even indentured servants like Irish and others, and they even built close to, I think, like 2,000 plus miles of railroad. John Henry is a mythical black person, a brutish black man working feverishly and fervently on the railroad by himself. If Chinese people built the railroad, tell me who the name of the mythical Chinese figure building the railroad so efficiently and so quickly. Don't worry, I'll wait. And where are the Chinese people to call out that lie? So like I said, the analogy, if I scored 100 points, somebody scored 35, somebody scored 20, right? If I was on that team and I scored 20 and they said, hey, look, man, you won the game for the team. You scored 20 points. I'll say, hey, no, man, I chipped in my 20 points, but who really won the game for us was my teammate who scored 100 points, man. Teamwork make the dream work, but that person scored 100 points, man. They should be truly commended. Show me the groups of Chinese activists and, civil rights people standing up for us to say that, right? When they say Chinese people built a railroad, the Chinese people know that it's a lie. But why don't they ever say, well, yeah, we built some of the railroad, but it was really the foundational Black Americans. They built the most. They never say that. They just run with the lie. So how is that an ally?
So that to me, Mike, is Kavanaugh sounding a little skeptical, saying, look, we had the 14th Amendment, and then we had a statute enacted that would dictate who's a citizen. And that if Congress wanted to change or do anything different around this issue after that Wong King Ark case, which was decided in 1898, then that statute would have read a little differently, that they wouldn't have just kept repeating the same language. Just for the audience, I know this is dense, try to hold on. But in that case, the Supreme Court upheld the American citizenship of a child born in San Francisco to Chinese immigrant parents. As our panelists pointed out, those parents, however, were both here lawfully. They were legal resident aliens, but those who are still using it as evidence that it would apply to illegals point out that at the time in 1898, we weren't really doing the legal alien, illegal alien thing here in the United States. We weren't really looking at aliens in those categories yet. So that's why it wasn't really, that's why Dave's side said it's not a real point of distinction on this case. But you could hear Kavanaugh there saying, look, if Congress wanted to change what subject to the jurisdiction thereof meant, or wanted to get a little bit more exacting when they enacted the civil rights law that kind of get to this, they would have been more explicit, Mike.
Well, I think that Wong Kim Ark actually helps President Trump's executive order. It laid out the test, and it's subject to the jurisdiction means allegiance to the United States. It means you're here lawfully and you're here permanently. And that is the opposite of illegal aliens. That is the opposite of Chinese birth tours.
So Roger says, John wasn't real. Well, I believe that he was real, but what I'm saying is there was a caricature of him. You know what I mean? So they're basically kind of like Betty Boop, right? Betty Boop was based on a real Black woman, and then they turned her into a white woman, right? So John Henry allegedly is based on a real Black man. It's just they gave, kind of some what they would call folkloric feats, right? John Henry was likely based on a real person, though many details of his legendary feats are folkloric. So they can't really say that it was true or not. They're just saying, there could be folklore. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when your grandparent or your parent would say, man, you don't know what it's like. I used to walk 20 miles in the snow with a backpack that weighed 30 pounds. You know what I mean? Right. Could they have really did that? Yeah. But it sounds more folkloric than factual. But in some instances, it actually was fact. Right. So John Henry is celebrated in American folklore as a Black railroad worker who famously raced against a steam-powered drill, winning the contest but dying from exhaustion with a hammer in hand. This story symbolizes human strength, resilience, and the struggle of workers against industrialization. While the ballad and tales are highly dramatized, historical research suggests a real John Henry existed. So yeah, there was a real John Henry. It's just, you know what I mean? It's kind of like when they make a story and they say based on a true story, most of it is true, and then they'll add some kind of cinematic movie elements to make the story more appealing. And that's where the folkloric feats come in, is what they would call them. However, like I said, I do like to hit y'all with that scholarship, but we like to debunk certain things in real time as well, because also many of you guys, you weren't taught this. Like, let's just be honest. As much as people think that they know so much, you realize how much you don't know once you start to read. So here we go right here, right? Because of course, you know, they like to say the Chinese built the railroad. Salute to the Chinese people for contributing to make this country a greater, better place. But how many times do I have to say a contribution is not a creation? Don't take my word for it. Y'all can just fact check me, right? Chinese railroad workers primarily worked in the American West, especially on the Central Pacific portion of the first transcontinental railroads in the 1860s. So clearly we had been here way before the 1860s, right? Y'all just got here. So historians estimate they built hundreds of miles of track bed, tunnels, and grading, often cited around 600 to 700 miles. And I gave them a little bit extra, so we'll just go straight with the 700 miles, right? So Chinese people, hey, don't take my word for it. Y'all can use Google Copilot. You can use Grok. You can use Claude AI, Google Gemini, Chat GPT. You could read a book. You have a lot of options. Don't take my word for it. Chinese people, you know, the people who they say built the railroads, they built around 700 miles of foundational railroad work. Salute to them and commend to them. They built the railroads, right? Let's see what the Black American railroad workers built. Once again, these are not my facts. Black American railroad workers contributed across the South, Midwest, and East over a much longer period. So again, the group who built the least amount of railroads in a shorter time, they get all the credit for it. Meanwhile, the group who's been here the longest and built the most don't even get brought up in the discussion. Name a video of any prominent person talking like this. All the celebrities that got money, all of the black buck broken boule, right? All of them went to historically black colleges and they're pledging black fraternities. Name a person that's telling you about this. Some people say, man, I already knew this. Okay, if you already knew this, who else did you tell? Why weren't you challenging people when they've been lying to you, right? If somebody kept running around saying 2 + 2 is 5, man, and you just gotta accept the facts that 2 + 2 is 5, you would have a civic duty to say, excuse me, bro, like actually 2 + 2 is 4. You know what I mean? So if people are running around, Chinese built the railroad, Chinese built the railroad, this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, Chinese built the railroad, this is a nation of immigrants, it's like, come on, bro, cut it out. Their total labor is often estimated in the thousands of miles, with some historical analysis suggesting several thousand to nearly 9,000 miles of track and roadbed built or maintained by enslaved and later free black laborers. Their work included construction, grading, track land, and later roles such as brakemen and porters. And it wasn't that we couldn't be brakemen or porters. There was occupational segregation where they said, you niggers can't do this, because they knew that giving us upward mobility of having good jobs would have us provide for our family, right? So Chinese workers were concentrated in a single massive project over a short period. Black laborers contributed across many decades and many rail lines, including work done under slavery. This is American history, right? So all of the people, especially the America First and the Heritage Americans who want to try to talk about this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants. No, it was already built so that immigrants could come here. What immigrant, if an immigrant is fleeing a shithole country, you think they would go here? Here, there's another shithole over there. We could go build that shithole up. No, you don't live in a place that would be perceived as an underdeveloped third world country and or shithole. You don't look at a third world and flee to another third world country. So they fled to a place that was already built, which means they couldn't build it. They contributed to the expansion, but they didn't build it. And just because you have an immigrant background and it, you know, gives you some sort of identity politic nostalgia to say this is a nation of immigrants built by immigrants, no, you know that's not true. So every time someone says that as an immigrant, you should be refuting that. Like, nah, we didn't build it, but, you know, we did come and help make this place great. I do believe that immigrants help make America a greater place. I do believe that immigrants played a significant part in assisting the expansion and continual building of this country. But to say that they're foundational in building the country is a flat out lie and is disgusting and quite disturbing. You know what I mean? But let's get back into this video, and I'm gonna just play a little bit more, and then I'm gonna get ready to shut her down. Give me one moment and I'm gonna pull that back up. And thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily. And for that, I thank you.
That is the opposite
of distinction on this case. But you could hear Kavanaugh there saying, look, if Congress wanted to change what subject to the jurisdiction thereof meant, or wanted to get a little bit more exacting when they enacted the civil rights law that kind of get to this, they would have been more explicit, Mike.
Well, I think that Wong Kim Ark actually helps President Trump's executive order. It laid out the test, and it's subject to the jurisdiction means allegiance to the United States. It means you're here lawfully and you're here permanently. And that is the opposite of illegal aliens. That is the opposite of Chinese birth tours. That is the opposite of foreign ambassadors' kids. That's the opposite of invading armies. I would just say this to these Supreme Court justices who are waffling a little bit, these more political types who are, maybe looking at the polling on this. I would say this, that our most crucial sovereign power as we the people, the sovereign citizens of America, is to control our border and to control our populace. And we never agreed to give birthright citizenship to illegal aliens, not at the 14th Amendment and not any statute since then. So they can play their little political games to try to get to the result that they think is politically palpable, but that is not the law. Their job is to follow the law. They wear robes, not capes.
There's a little bit more of a clue here, Dave Ehrenberg. Gorsuch, we got to check in with him. So far, I feel like Roberts and maybe Kavanaugh are leaning against the administration. That would be enough to do it. That would only leave 4 conservatives, assuming Barrett, Gorsuch, Alito, and Thomas go with Trump. So let's check in. What did Gorsuch sound like today? He just gave us that great decision yesterday. I mean, 8 out of the 9 justices gave us that great decision yesterday, saying you can't
power over the tribes. And therefore, that's the same situation as a foreign national in the United States.
Okay. No one understands a word that was said there, Dave, but they do understand that Justice Gorsuch was giving the ACLU kind of a hard time, suggesting there's wiggle room in the case law for him to find a way to vote for Trump.
That's right. And Mike Davis should be proud, I'm sure, because that's his guy, Justice Gorsuch. And it looks like he could go either way on this. I'm sure Mike is beaming. But it's interesting. I'm going to try to distill it down because it is confusing, but here in plain language, Justice Gray wrote both the Elk and the Wong Kim Ark opinions. So it's interesting that they're quoting him back to him, like, how do you distinguish these two opinions? And the key is that in the Elk case, the 1898 case, Justice Gray was dealing with a Native American who owed immediate allegiance to a sovereign tribe. And so that's different. And that's, I think, the distinction between Elk, Wilkins, and Wong Kim Ark.
So in other words, in Elk, because you're dealing with a Native American who owes allegiance to a sovereign tribe, they don't get birthright citizenship because there's that allegiance question. Like I was saying, the subjects of the king, the diplomats come over, they're still loyal to the king, not to the United States. Whereas in the Wong Kim case, you had two Chinese, a mother and a father, who were not citizens of America, but were here lawfully, and their child was recognized as an American citizen because they didn't have that lack of allegiance problem that the native person did, and that, in my hypothetical, the English diplomats do.
Exactly. An undocumented immigrant is not a member of a sovereign nation within the United States that has its own treaties and laws. They are individuals.
This is a chat GPT for Airbnb. This new income assistant is trained to find.
Well, I think the bottom line is, you tell me, Mike, because you kind of dodged on how you think it went today, but
I'm not confident.
If you were betting, if you had to put money on it, I think we'd put money on them
this is going to go
siding against Trump.
I think the Supreme Court's going to rule against Trump because I think these justices are being politicians in robes. They're being weak. They're not going to follow the law. And I would say this, if Dave said that he was trying to distinguish those cases between the Chinese lawful permanent residents who get birthright citizenship versus the American Indians who don't because of their allegiance to a separate tribe, to a sovereign tribe. What the hell? What happened to these Chinese birth tourists who come to America, have their kids, they're Chinese foreign nationals, their kids go back to China, they're Chinese foreign nationals with American birthright citizenship under your interpretation. They never step foot in America, but they can mail in their votes. I don't think that's what the people who proposed the 14th Amendment sold to the public. And I don't.
Yeah, is that really what they meant when they were talking about birthright citizenship? A bunch of wealthy elite Chinese people or whatever
in China,
foreign people just running amok? Okay.
Alone, we have identified more than 1,000 birth tourism companies that are almost exclusively focused on the United States. Our federal government does not track this information because there is no centralized collection of information on the nationality of parents who are giving birth. China, however, has done estimates themselves, and the numbers are eye-popping. The Chinese government gave an estimate a few years ago. Their estimate was that on average, 50,000 Chinese citizens a year were giving birth in the United States or at U.S. territories like Saipan. There are others like Professor Salvatore Barbonis from Australia who believes that number is higher. He's estimated 100,000. There was a research firm in China that estimated in 2018 alone, 180,000 managed to give birth in the United States. No one knows what the actual number is, and that is the challenge that we face today. If you do the math, if you look at the ramping up of this activity over the last 13 years, and you take the ballpark estimates, you are looking at roughly 1 million, quote unquote, U.S. citizens who are being raised in the People's Republic of China today. If you look at the websites of these birth tourism companies, they will tell you who is hiring them. These are not political dissidents. These are military officers, people from the Ministry of Propaganda, people that are high-ranking officials in the Chinese Communist Party. In other words, these are part of the CCP establishment.
Yeah, so there you have it. And I'll play like a couple more of these videos. Here's this person over here desecrating the flag. I know a lot of people do that. And, you know, in America, people are like, oh, I should be able to do the flag, but this doesn't even make any sense, right? Imagine you're at the formerly called the Staples Center, but the crypto center for the Lakers, right? And you keep throwing down the Lakers jersey and you're like, F the Lakers, but you don't want to leave the stadium. It's like, bro, won't you go to the Clippers stadium or won't you go to NorCal and go holler at the Warriors, bro, since you hate the Lakers so much, right? America is not a perfect country, but name a country that's perfect, right? You like China? China ain't perfect, right? What place that you like that you think is perfect? What city or place that you like that you think is perfect? It doesn't exist. Israel isn't perfect. Dubai isn't perfect. This person is over here throwing and destroying the flag. Death to America. Reporting to you live from America. Like, bro, why the fuck are you here, bro? And then you got people like, and you can see on my corner, because I seen Ujamu Baraka or Ujama Kunaraka was over here saying, and this the America FBAs want to fight for. Nigga, you're in America, bruh. All the people try to say in United States, United Snakes of America. Fine, I ain't gonna hold you, bruh. America, I tell you, America is a racist country because it's embedded and entrenched in the fiber and the systems of this country. But it doesn't mean that every person is racist or every person is bad. There's a lot of great people here. I think this is the greatest nation ever. You know what I mean? This is my homeland. But if you are a part of a mafia family and you criticize your family because they were doing some heinous barbaric crimes, it don't mean that you disown your family or you hate your family. You just want to see your family do better. So if I'm going to criticize my country, I'm going to do it constructively, you know, harshly, but I do want to see the country do better, especially as a foundational Black American. Now, people want us to say, hey, this country has mistreated you, so why are you fighting for this country anyways? Okay, this country mistreated me, so what? I'm supposed to run to another country or a continent? This country mistreated me, so I'm supposed to run to an African continent that I know nothing about and get mistreated there by more people that look like me? I'm supposed to run to an Asian continent and get mistreated there. But hey, because I have a less history of getting mistreated in another continent, that's somehow better than America. This shit don't even make sense. The people that saying death to America, bruh, you love China so much, go over to China. You won't be able to say that shit. You think that Dubai is doing great things, go over to Dubai and say fuck Dubai. You won't be able to, but you can be in America saying fuck America. So don't pretend that you love the country so much, but you're burning flags and jumping up and down. And say, what country is this? You know what country this is. The same country that was anti-Black and you didn't care. Now, because you're getting a little bit of smoke, now you want to try to make it seem like this country is so bad. Like, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro.
I'm dragging them because they're dragging us. If a U.S. citizen has to endure that for every human to get rights.
Can you just tell me the feeling among Angelenos here?
I'm born and raised here. I'm 24 years old. I'm young. I know there's people here. Immigrants built this city. There's no denying that. And when they're trying to take that out, it's not okay. It's just not okay.
There we go again. Immigrants built this city. Immigrants built this. It's like, and then when you just ask a simple question, okay, so if the immigrants have so much ingenuity, innovation, they work so much harder, they have higher IQs, they have superior culture, could I get a serious answer to this question? Why, if they can build a city as great as Los Angeles, allegedly, why couldn't they build their homeland? They couldn't build it because of U.S. imperialism. Okay, so U.S., the big bad boogeyman in the U.S. was destabilizing and oppressing and repressing your people. So instead of fighting, enriching and uplifting your people there, you chose to run to the big bad boogeyman country? Huh? Make it make sense, bro. America is so bad. Death to America. Where are you about to flee to? America? I thought you just said death to America. What the fuck are you doing here? You're xenophobic. Okay. It just doesn't even make any sense.
All persons born in the United States become citizens of the United States. It's all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That amendment was passed coming out of the Civil War. There's a reason it was passed coming out of the Civil War. Congress was afraid that the Democrats would try to undermine the results of that war by forbidding former slaves from voting. And clearly that's what the amendment was supposed to deal with. It did not include anybody who just happened to show up here and have a baby and moved on. Any congressman at that time, as can be seen from the debate on the floor at that time, no congressman felt that resulted in what we are now referring to as birthright citizenship. It was supposed to be limited to slaves. You were only subject to the jurisdiction thereof if you were a former slave. A person who came here from France and was just passing through, their child would not become a citizen. That should be obvious.
In 2023, over 300,000 babies were born to unauthorized or legal temporary immigrant mothers. Add that in total. It's 9% of the U.S. births in that given year. When we look at how that shakes out over time, a clear spike in the number of births to unauthorized immigrant mothers in the United States from 2019 to 2023. That's unprecedented. It's unforeseen. It's undeniable. But Chief Justice Roberts, unconvinced.
It certainly wasn't a problem in the 19th century.
No, but of course, we're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Here's the counterpoint about birth tourism. It's
Yeah, and they're not talking about the birth tourism. People just traveling. They traveled. Oh, I'm on vacay. And then it's like, oopsie, did I forget to mention I'm pregnant? Pop out a baby up. Well, your baby is a citizen now, too. Like, huh? Is that really what the framers of the Constitution meant? And here we have this lady right here, Amy Coney Barrett. Why are they always adopting some black kids? They never have a history of standing up for black people, but they adopt black kids and say, I don't see color. Okay, so you want to try to convince and pretend as if those kids are the same complexion as her biological kids. No, I don't see color. Why don't they ever adopt these Hispanic or Asian kids? And if they do adopt, they'll adopt one Asian kid and 3 black kids. But when they adopt a black kid, it's never a black American. What's up with all these America First so-called heritage Americans, but they always go overseas to get a black kid? Jillian Michaels hates black people, but goes and gets her a little Haitian daughter. Angelina Jolie wants to go to Africa to get a black child. There's a bunch of black kids here that need love, right? There's a bunch of kids of all racial backgrounds. No one finds it weird that these white people who never have a history of standing up for black people, many of them have a history of demonizing black people, but they always want to adopt a black kid. Right now, if I try to adopt some white kids and say, you know what, I want to be the change that the world needs to see, and I don't see color, so that's why I don't mind adopting these lily white blonde head kids, right? Because I don't see color, right? Do you think I would just be able to adopt a bunch of little white kids without no scrutiny? There's been people that did that or were babysitting and they called the cops on them because they thought the kid were being molested, or whose baby is that? It's like, this is my kid. No, it's not. I'm calling the cops. It's like, huh? Like, but if you see a white parent with black kid, you don't think about calling the cops. You see a black parent with white kids, it's like, there must be something nefarious going on. So white people could adopt black children, no problem. But if a black person tries to adopt a white child, there's all sorts of scrutiny and say, well, we don't know if you have the the cultural IQ to raise this kid. Huh? I don't see color. We're all God's children, right? But like Lex says, it's weird as ish. It really is weird. It's beyond weird. It's quite disturbing as well. You hate black people, have no history of helping black people, but you want to raise a black kid to be your little token tool to say, hey, I'm not racist. I have a black child. Yeah, you got a black child that you adopted from Africa. Didn't want to adopt a kid from Oakland. Didn't want to adopt a kid from Memphis, but you did want to go to Senegal. Okay. He said, show the McCain family. Okay, what should I look up? Because I'm about to get ready to shut it down. But is there something specific that I should be looking up or what? So just let me know.
I do believe, because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires or billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case, or 10 children, becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War. And if you take a look at when it was filed, all of this legislation, all of this, everything having to do with birthright citizenship, it was at the end of the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves and the protection of the babies of slaves. It didn't have to do with the protection of multi-millionaires and billionaires wanting to have their children get an American citizenship. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's been so badly handled by legal people over the years. If you look at the original birthright citizenship papers, they all happened right after the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves. And hopefully it's going to say, because our country is being scammed. We're getting all of these people, they're selling the rights to them. People are making a big living, getting hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars from bringing people in and saying, congratulations, your whole family is going to be a citizen of the United States of America. That's not what it was for. It wasn't for billionaires bringing people in.
I mean, you don't gotta like the dude, and I don't like Trump. He's a bigot, a buffoon, and a stooge, but he is right on this. And the Democrats will try to say that we're the backbone of the party. They don't say that anymore because they've already brought in your replacement constituency. They only said you were the backbone so that you can vote for them, and then you kind of vote for yourself into like political extinction. And so now then they try to shame you that, you didn't vote hard enough. So if you did vote hard enough, all you would do was just expedite your displacement and replacement, right? So the liberation that we get, the enfranchisement that we get will come from each other rather than the political apparatus. Now that can come in the future. It's just immediately they are looking to just like completely bury us so that they don't have to answer to any of our demands. And this is why they're bringing over a bunch of hostile tethers and other foreign people who are just completely indifferent to our plight. When they bring over a bunch of non-English speaking people, if these people barely speak English, right, and many of them have no desire to learn English, if they have no desire, many of them, to learn English, you think they have a desire to learn Black American history, which is American history? They don't care. They're coming over here to, air quotes, seek a better life. That doesn't, that's not conducive to them trying to unite with us, right? It's actually the opposite, right? So I'm about to get ready to shut her down. Roger, hold on, man. Roger, you always be sending me shit at the last minute, bro. But hold on, let me see. Roger wants me to show this photo, so let me try to see if I can pull it up. But other than that, I do appreciate y'all for rocking out. And here we have the McCains. And, you know, I can't really make it any bigger for some reason. It won't let me make that image any bigger, bro. So let me take this one down and then also hold up. But y'all could just Google it. I mean, I really don't have to pull it up, but this is not a shocker. To me, I think that is quite suspect because I just don't get it, bro. Like, there's a bunch of kids here, and you want to try to go to this third world place, and then they try to say, hey, they don't want to make a hierarchy of oppression, right? But then isn't that exactly what they do? They say, hey, you think that you guys have it rough. Those kids in a third world country, they really have it rough. So we're going to go adopt them. But it's like, hold on. All oppression matters. Why are you favoring a kid and some other ones? So here are the McCains, right? Now, if a black person tried to adopt this melanated, dark Asiatic person, it would be scrutiny. Do you have the cultural IQ to raise this child? But with the McCains, hey, you know, they have horses and they have money. I'm sure they'll raise that kid, and they always raise. See, I have an issue too. Like if I had a white kid, I would want that white kid to be proud of how white they are, right? You're a white kid. I don't know what it's like to be white. Even if you're raising that kid as a black man, the kid is going to have a different experience going through life as a white child. If you're white, you need to embrace it. It's a beautiful thing to be a human, whether you're black, white, Asian, yellow, purple, it doesn't matter. Embrace your humanity. I wouldn't try to say, hey, I don't see color. Hey, little Billy, I know you're a white boy, but I don't see color. You're just my son. Like, no, bro, you're raising a white son, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So this whole I don't see color, and they go out of their way to get a non-white person and raise them as a colorblind minion. See, everyone knows McCain is white. Everyone knows that this is a white family, but they know that that baby is not white. So instead of just saying, hey, you're not white, but we're not going to treat you any less, they just say, hey, I don't see color. And in this family, well, we're colorblind. Like, that's super offensive, and it's a form of erasure, especially how dark this child is, to try to say, hey, well, we don't see color. Everyone else does. That child we know is not your bio child. And I'm not saying it needs to be that for you to love the child and take care of it, but gotta stop with the whole I don't see color argument. But Jurassic and the Black Messiah, they made Friedman Lakeith William O'Neill and the actor who played Hampton a Brit. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I couldn't really get into it, but I heard it was good, or at least decent. And fine, if you want to get some black Brit or some African to play some Marvel superhero that's a mythical character, fine. But when we get these historical figures and you want to have Cynthia Tether Erivo play Shaka Khan and Aretha Franklin and Harriet Tubman, I can't rock with that at all. Just like Mexicans, they said, hey, Selena is our Mexican icon. We don't want no fucking Puerto Rican playing her. Like, come on, bro. Have some respect. You mean to tell me there's no Mexicans that could have played Selena, right? There's no foundational Black Americans that can play Fred Hampton, right? They have to get someone with a thick, strong accent that says, hey, you know, hey, you niggas, I am just black like you, right? They gotta get a Michael Blackson nigga that got an accent, and then they gotta get a nigga from the soil to train them to sound like a nigga. Like, come on, bro, just get a fucking black dude from the soil. And then they want to try to portray like, oh, the black Brits, man, they act really good because they go to school. So if the black Brits are acting so good, why aren't they getting more roles in Britain? because they try to swear that, hey, you know, they're not being oppressed and like, hey, they don't want to be victims. But all of the Black Brits, they got to come to America to get it popping based off what the groundwork we laid. So we lay the groundwork for every melanated person to come get it popping. But if you go to Britain right now, what have Black Brits set up for you to just grow comfortably in, right? There's no society for them to come up, right? They haven't built anything for you. So they can come assume your identity, tether onto it, and say, hey, I'm just like y'all. No, you're not. You're divisive and xenophobic, right? But if you go over to Britain, they're going to tell you how you're not like them. They already know you're not like them because you don't speak that way. So they haven't set up anything for you in their homeland, but they're supposed to be entitled that everything that you fought for here. Nah, I'm good. Michael Black. Hey, shout out to Red 6. I didn't even know you was creeping in here. My bad. Hey, shout out to Michael Blackson, bro. To my knowledge, Michael Blackson he's not a tether unless y'all can prove me wrong. Godfrey, that's another story, you know what I mean? But yeah, my bad, Michael Blackson. I ain't mean to hit you with the Draco out of nowhere. My bad, Brody. Margaret Cho, who is Korean, received hell from our community when she did a sitcom about her family and got Japanese actors to play them. That's what I'm trying to say. We're the only community where we're just supposed to just let our icons, you know, just be tethered onto. And there was some sort of Japanese show. I can't remember the dude's name, but he said he would only do it if they had authentic Japanese culture and Japanese people, because he said he wanted to represent his community and his country right. But with us, you know, they try to get a bunch of tethers to play our icons, and then they'll get them to play compromising roles as well too, and say, hey, she's Black, y'all Black, you know, what's the deal? You know what I mean? But yeah, man, this has been a fruitful stream. I'm almost 4 hours in, 3 hours and 45 minutes to be exact. Now, like I said, I'm gonna go check out my boy Big Rig. I do have some things to do because I'm gonna be up late, so I might even come back and hit y'all with a random late night banger. If not, I will be back on here tomorrow. I'll be more consistent with my live streams until I get a schedule. I do have a goal that I'm trying to reach of 1,000 subs. I'm like 200-ish away. So, hey, you can tell a friend to tell a friend, you know what I mean? Help support your boy. You know, it won't cost you a fee. Liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing and hitting that notification bell is all free. Now I'm gonna play a series of videos that you will be able to rock out and vibe to. Hopefully y'all stick around to the end, but if not, I sincerely appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world. Y'all chose to be here with me, at least momentarily, and for that I thank you. So once again, y'all know what time it is. It's time for a like intermission. Time for a like intermission. We kindly request that you show love to the channel's creator and platform by leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest content. Liking posts is completely free and helps the algorithm boost our reach. We want to grow the community larger and larger. So thank you all who take the time to support us. It does mean the world to us and doesn't go unnoticed. Okay, so y'all can just keep commenting in the chat. I'll pull it up. And, you know, if there's something that intriguing, I will have to pause it. But while y'all chatting, you know, I'm gonna hit you. Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy Dat Dude, yeah. Shit so hot it's burning up. Look, I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. There's a lot of niggas that say they real, but to me that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy, they really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces to definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer, my niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These homes that I roll with, outcasts and misfits, better zip lips when you get hit. When the fifth spit, flat line in your hit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Goku, for the cocaine they go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu, I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause I'm still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on shite racket and fly back out the mill. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh we burning up, burning up. This shit so high, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh we burning up, burning up. This shit so high, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy that dude. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude. Yeah, they know the name. Stacking up the paper, but having money ain't a thing. Standing on business, burning hotter than a flame. From the block to the ballroom, you gotta stand the rain. B-Eazy that dude, yeah they know the name. B-Eazy that dude.
You ain't know. Let's just be easy. Hey, hey. Let's just be easy. That dude. Be easy. Is that dude? You hear me? You feel me? Ooh, ooh, ooh. B-Eazy that dude, yeah. B-Eazy.
Oh, B-Eazy. We all here to see B-Eazy. We want to listen to B-Eazy. Ayy, we all like B-Eazy. Nah, matter of fact, we love B-Eazy. Believe me, he really that dude. Subscribe to the channel. It's easy to do if you care. This fire content extraordinarily rare. That's why I put that on my mama. He is that dude. I put that on my daddy. He is that dude. So B-Eazy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel to be real, to be real, to be really that dude.
If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you wanna slide with that dude, B-Eazy. We going all the way to the top, believe me. All the way to the top, believe me.
B-Eazy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel to be real, to be real, to be really that dude. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, that dude. Ay, 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 that dude. Ay, 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 yo. B-Eazy is that dude. You already know, for sure, you already know. It's easy to see why he is that dude. He's been a favorite, even if you hating it. Give him his flowers, pay him respect. He's a certified legend and one of the best. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, remember the name.
B-Eazy that dude.
B-Eazy, B-Eazy, he is that dude. Ooh, he so he can get the job done. He about to reign supreme if you thought his run would soon end. He just getting started though, so go ahead and tune in. Be easy, he is that dude. Ooh, 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 he is that dude.
Okay, so now that I did the rundown, I appreciate all of y'all for stopping through. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and end it like so.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Follow. Be easy. You know you want to.
We're waiting.
B-Eazy Dat Dude, he be bringing the vibe. In your leisure, come laugh and show some love every time he goes live. If you're feeling the flow, wanna help him shine, you can drop a little something, something. It's support time. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo too. Super chat, super sticker, whatever is convenient for you. Every bit counts, let's keep the good times rolling. B-Eazy's on fire and the crowd's still growing. Woo!
Thank you. You love me. You really love me. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.